Welcome to the Perfect Pitch Auto Repair Sports Spotlight. They do it all at 108th and Kedzie. Flowers for every imaginable occasion at Lansing Floral Shop. Call them at 708-474-1212. They deliver.
Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise Podcast. You know it, you love it, you couldn't live without it. It's time for more Remember This Crap with guest host Mike Donahue. The ironic thing is, no one will see your name because for some reason on the recording version of this, our names don't stamp only when we're live.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, so it says for those of you, none of you are watching it live because we're not doing it live. His little chyron says Frank Chance, not Mike Donahue.
I was prompted. It was optional. I did have to enter my email address, I believe, but I was prompted. No, I had to enter in my user.
Did it ask for your credit card information? Because it
asked for. Interesting that I had to find what my blood type was, because I don't know.
In case I need a kidney, that's what that's for.
Yeah, in the middle of the podcast, in case it comes up. But yeah, so that's too bad that nobody else will catch my cheeky little reference.
Well, actually, if I spent more, if I bought the next tier up on the plan, you would get to see it. I'm not making that up.
All right. Well, at least I get to see it.
You can have permanent lower thirds. That's what they call those. With the next plan up. So I've got people will buy more copies of the books, then I'll get it.
Step right up, people.
Don't forget that's the Immortals and Great Until It Wasn't, both on sale at Amazon. And who doesn't want to support Jeff Bezos these days?
Knowing what a supporter of good journalism he is.
Well, we're going to remember this crap tonight about first baseman. We're almost done. We've worked our way around. We've got catcher and pitchers, and that's it.
Yeah. It's been a while since we convened. I believe it's been whenever Sandberg died is when we did second base. We worked our way left to right to left, third to first.
I was waiting for Mark Grace today, but he doesn't seem to. Thought his liver would be pickled by now, but he's fine.
He's lived a fun life.
All right. So before we do that, I don't know when this podcast will go up. Sometime there probably will have been a podcast with me and Dave in between that one and this one, but. On the last Cubs baseball podcast we went around and we named our favorite Cub at every position because Derrek Lee was asked to do it on MLB Network, and Derrek was not up to the task, quite frankly. He picked all his friends and some old guys he met at spring training. That was pretty much what he did. It's fine. I mean, I find it hard to believe Jack Jones is really his favorite right fielder for the Cubs, but maybe he was.
I still couldn't believe that when I heard. That's
how
much
I learned about Sammy.
That. Yeah. That's how I learned of that, listening to you guys. I've already listened to it, and I was like, did he really put Jack Jones in there? I mean...
He played with Jeremy Burnitz.
He would have.
Didn't pick him. So anyway, we picked ours, and now I'm going to give you the opportunity to give us yours.
I appreciate that. Because I was listening to you guys and kind of going through it in my own head. We're doing first base tonight, but it's no secret that my childhood favorite player is Leon Durham, so I'd be a fool to not include him as my first baseman. And honestly, you guys made a good point about Sandberg, but I still just gravitate towards him. I know it's an easy one. Listening to the discussion, I kind of dug a little deeper. I'm like, I did have a fondness for Mark Grudzielanik's surprise 2003 season, more in Dini in 98. Those were fun years, but I got to stick to Sandberg there. Shortstop, Javi. When we've gone through these positions, I not have to re-listen, but I'm pretty sure that I've found a way in my own argument to put Javi at third, short, and second, because at any given time, he really was the best at that position. But, shortstop's the king of the infield. And Javi is just, one of the best I've ever seen. That's my shortstop. Third base will be my one hipster move, because I really, really, absolutely, when I saw Bill Miller 2001, I was like, wow, that is a solid defensive third baseman. I'd never seen one on my team before. We've talked about what a kind of an overblown myth it was, that it was some giant vet black hole since Santo. It really wasn't, but there were some down periods, and I think defensively nobody really stood out until Bill Miller, and I really just enjoyed how he played. He's a clutch hitter, good player. He was only here for like a year, 2 years, but that's my third baseman.
Year and a half. He didn't ever complete a full year, right? Because he crashed into the. Oh, I guess he came back that year. I didn't remember that. He came back at the end of the year.
He came back and he hit a big homer in September too, but it was too late.
The next year, Ed Lynch gave him to the Giants.
Yes, I believe.
Put him on waivers after the deadline. The Giants picked him and Ed let him go.
And he won a World Series with Boston, I believe, in 2005. He resurfaced there.
He won a batting title with the year before.
Yep. Yeah.
And he won a World Series.
Right.
Yeah.
Which he was a good, solid hitter, but I always just remember it being like the first time I really saw a bona fide defensive third baseman, like what they can do, how they can change innings. I just really like Billy Miller. Catcher, I know it's 84 intensive, but that was so central to my youth. It's hard
Steve
to
Lake.
not to go with Steve Lake. I was trying to think. That's good. Jim Sundberg, of course. No, Jody.
As 85, Sundberg, right? Sundberg.
Sundberg came in. Sundberg actually came in 87, I think. But
no,
Jody, of course, who really. We'll get to the catcher discussion. I look forward to it. Jody's got his. Was he inducted? Was he one of the guys this year or no?
Yes, he's going. Oh, aren't you going to go to a ceremony?
I might have to make.
Jody was a good player. Jody was a Rule 5 pickup from the Cardinals.
From the Cardinals, yeah. And then he was also a Met in the Met system. So, yeah, I look forward to that. But Jody would be my catcher. Left field would be Schwarbs. Center field, it's got to be Fowler, because center field's been the absolute most depressing position in our lifetime. So it's not hard. Bobby Dernier was fun, and Jerome Walton's one season, whatever. Lance Johnson's 4 months. But you got to go with Dex, 2 years in the World Series championship. Just a great all-around player.
Pete's been here. Pete Crow's been here longer than Dexter. That was my pick.
In parts of 3 seasons.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Doesn't have a World Series yet, though, so you can go with that.
Right field. My brain goes to Sosa, even though he's a player that I've never been shy about, discussing his flaws. He was far from perfect. He was also insanely incredible, assisted or not. But a naturally great athlete, fun player. I don't know. Hayward was the right fielder on the World Series team. I'll just go with the easy one. Sandberg, Sosa.
Take Keith Moreland?
I could have. I did like Moreland. I know
Oleg picked him at third. That should have been it's a war crime, is what that is.
Sure he led the league in errors at third. Yeah. I mean,
he had 32 homers that year, though.
No, because that was the year of the juice ball, I think, because that's when Dawson hit his 49. McGuire's a rookie, I think, at 48. But yeah, so that's my around. And then did D. Lee have pitchers? Favorite starter?
Yeah.
Favorite?
Well, you could pick a DH if you want. That's how I got Sammy and Hawk on the same team.
Yeah, I mean, I already put Schwarber in left. I thought Schwarber was a good outfielder, while he was still young and could move. He had 1 year, he actually had quite a few outfield assists until they stopped running on him. I'm going to stick with him. I'm not going to go with the DH. So we did just say Seiya.
We did 4 starting pitchers and 2 relievers.
Okay.
Because that's what they had been doing. And Lee picked 4 and 4. We didn't bother with 4 relievers. We just picked 2.
I mean, Bruce Suter, Lee Smith, Randy Myers, Brodbeck, John Lieber. You got to go with Carey, Sutcliffe. I mean, these are all pretty obvious picks, and I guess John Lester. Some good picks there, but some good. I mean, there's Arrieta. That's actually tough. I mean, they're all. I guess there are some challenges to all of them. So yeah, no Jack Jones though. What the fuck, Derek?
He did pick Greg Maddux. You didn't, but he did.
Oh yeah, because Maddux is always triggers a feeling of bittersweet.
I took Greg Maddux, Jeff Pico, Jamie Moyer, and Frank Castillo. Those were my four. Roll into town with those four guys and take on all comers. Would be fine.
I was a big Kevin Foster fan for a brief period.
Because his dad drove a bus?
His dad drove a CTA bus. You made a Jeremy Gonzalez reference yesterday. I made a Kevin Foster and you made a Frank Castillo reference. And those are the holy trinity of late Cubs who died well before their time.
The best was somehow what started Cubs. That was somehow Bo Diaz came up. Not even a Cub. I don't know. I feel bad that I enjoy his death so much. Like, he seemed like a nice guy. He was a pretty solid player.
He was on that 84 Phillies team, yeah. So
he made enough money in his life that he could have hired somebody to put his satellite dish on his roof, right? He didn't have to try to do it himself. And it wasn't like, it was a big one. It was one of the, like, this was pre-direct TV dish.
They were one of those little box
He was
ones,
up there with a, like an 8-foot dish trying to put that thing on his roof.
He's probably like working some crane. Yeah.
Well, speaking of guys who got crushed by satellite dishes, let's go back to 1876 with the Cubs' first ever first baseman and noted satellite dish installer, Cal McVeigh. What? Wait a minute. This is 100. So this isn't the 150. This is the 150th year.
Oh, the
Cubs,
Sesquicentennial.
Right?
You know what movie I just recently rewatched in the wake of the Catherine O'Hara's passing was Waiting for Guffman, when they're celebrating the sesquicentennial of Blaine, Missouri. So sorry to interrupt with that, but yeah, 150 years of Cubs baseball, people, or Chicago North Side base, or Chicago National League baseball.
So the first ever first baseman for your North Side 9. The White Stockings, right? I think that's what they were when they first started.
That's what they called him.
Was a guy named Cal McVeigh. He only played 1 year as a first baseman. His comp to one of the greatest Cubs of all time, maybe the greatest Cub of all time. One of his what do you call it? The guy played in his era. I can't think of the word. Contemporaries. Rockford, Illinois' very own Ross Barnes. His number 2 comp to Cal McVeigh. Ross was incredible. We went over him in the...
Yeah. Familiar name.
What was he? Second base?
What
did Ross
had to
play?
be outfield.
I don't remember.
Had to be outfield, right?
I mean, remember.
I doubt it was short because maybe it was
Ross
short.
Was number 2. His number 5th comp, Lip Pike. What a great name. There's some good names, and wait till you hear the Cubs went from one name to another here in the early 1900s. Really, oh, it's a beaut. Their second ever first baseman is a guy you may have heard of if you've ever purchased sporting goods. Al Spalding.
He was the primary first baseman in 1877.
1877.
So in 1876, he was like their only pitcher, I believe. He had like 100 starts or something, and he won 60 of them, I think. And then I thought he retired and just managed the club.
1876, he won 47 games.
47.
47. Not 60. That's not the most. He won 50. He won 51
prior to that in the old American Association for Boston.
No,
right?
I think after he played.
I thought
that's the only year that he played. Where he played enough of a position to qualify as the guy, and it was first base that year.
I just thought he had a huge log 500 Haas Radborn innings, and then just quit playing, kept managing the team while he opened up his sporting goods business. But what you're telling me is that in their second season, Anson just moved. He stopped throwing, stopped pitching. He just moved over to first base.
Let's look up Al Spalding here real quick. That's quite a haircut he had.
Yeah, he's also a Rock 40, and I believe
you're right. That was the end of his 76. Was the last year he was a full-time baseball player. So he won from 1871 to 1876. He won 19, 38, 41, 52, 54, and 47 games. And then he was the everyday in 77. He stopped pitching. You're right. He stopped pitching. He only pitched a little in 77. He also played in 78, but not very much.
Got it.
He'd been a good hitter until he started playing full time. Actually, he was okay, 250, but he only 256. But he was old. He's 26 years old. His arm fell off from throwing a million innings.
I'm looking at it now. There's only one dude over the age of 30 on that roster, Cherokee Fisher. He was 32.
That's because the life expectancy was like 48. Yeah. These were old. These were middle-aged men playing baseball. They couldn't survive.
True. And Cal moved to catcher, by the way. So there seems to be a lot of fluidity amongst these positions. Our guy Cal went from first to catcher. So he would have. Yeah. Well, he'll come up again, I guess, when we talk catchers. But that's just fun. There's moving around. Spalding goes from the mound to first base. Cal moves to catcher. Anyway,
then they found a guy who played first base for a little bit, from 1879 to 1897.
Marshalltown, Iowa's finest.
Cap Anson took over at first base. Cap is a Hall of Famer, 4-time batting champion. He led the league in RBI 7 times. He played 22 years for the Cubs. He hit .331 with a .396 on base, a .448 slugging, and he hit 97 homers in 22 years, which was probably a lot.
4+ per year.
Cap's comps include some people you may have heard of: Paul Wainer, Chris Speaker, Honus Wagner, Jake Beckley. I don't know who that is. Didn't he write Jaws? No, it was Peter Benchley. Tony Gwynn, Paul Molitor, Napoleon Lajoie, Sam Crawford, Rod Carew, and Zach Wheat. I always like the name Zach Wheat. Sounds very manly.
Same.
Cap was pretty good. Cap was also what's the technical a racist? Was that the technical
a virulent? Word? I believe a virulent racist.
Yeah.
If there's any other kind, he hailed from Marshalltown, Iowa. So he's not from the South, but he definitely was well known for his views on.
Did you see where he went to college?
No, where?
Notre Dame.
Was it? Did he really?
Apparently started at the University of Iowa. Flunked out. Went to Notre Dame.
Flunked out Iowa. Got into Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So educated boy.
He had a pretty good year. Pretty good year in 1881. He led the league in hits. He hit .399 with a .442 on base and a .510 slug. Drove in 82 runs. He drove in 147 runs in 1886 in 125 games.
Oh, I think at some point he also basically assumed leadership of the team. It went from like Spalding worked his way into some sort of an ownership role, but it was on the field. It was like went from Spalding's team to Anson's team, I think.
How did the Cubs get him? Let's see. Doesn't say. He must have just, of course, back then he probably just changed teams whenever he wanted, because he started his career with I believe, the Colorado Rockies. Nope. Oh, that's not what ROK stands for. I should have known this. The Rockford Forest Cities. The Rockford Forest Cities. That's who he played for. Oh, good. We can claim him and Ross. He led
and like I said, Al Spalding was
National Association with 11 doubles. Then he went to Philadelphia and played for the A's until he came to the Cubs in 1876. When the Cubs started, he was there when they started.
When the Cubs and the National League started. Yeah, because there are like these different iterations of baseball federations from the 1860s after the Civil War to in the 1876. That's where the line of continuity begins, at least for the National League.
He pitched a couple in 2 years, and he was no Doug DeCenzo. 3 games, 4 innings. He gave up 2 runs. Doug, none.
Oh, Old Cap, old Adrian, gonna take the ball.
And
Hurl it for
the
you.
baseball cap is named after him. I don't know. Probably
That's
not.
bullshit.
Be pretty good though, wouldn't it? If it was.
Most of the men would not adorn their heads until the young man from Marshalltown, Iowa, came upon the scene. He said it blocked the sun from his eyes. Yeah, that would sound astoundingly apocryphal. Unlikely. So you said 1879 to 18. Did you say 98 at 22 years? Wow.
1879 to 1897, 18 seasons. 19
He must have been the
19
all-time hits
seasons.
leader. 3,400 hits. Even if you separate the ones that occurred before the
Wait.
National League.
Is that more than Ian Happ?
Yeah.
Can't be. Yeah, so when we do these, I go through real quick and I pull the comps so we figure out who some of these people are. And typically the list over 150 years gets really long. This one, of the 150 seasons of Cub baseball, there have been 41 primary first basemen. The reason for that is there's 8 guys who combined for 83 seasons at first base.
An average of 10 per entire decades with one guy.
So the Cubs have had a lot. They've had 4 guys who played at least 10 years at first. And then the rest of those guys played at least 7 where they were the primary first baseman. Cap 19 is a lot.
Cap takes the cake.
Before, we might as well just do this now because it's not like it's a spoiler. Who do you think had the second longest tenure at first base for the Cubs?
Phil Cavarretta?
No. Phil bounced all over the field. So, no.
He was never really a primary first baseman.
He was.
In our
lifetime, it's like 5. He was for like 5 years of his career.
In our lifetime, off the top of my head, I feel like Grace is the leader, but I mean, we're from 88. So he was over 10 years. So that's one.
Mark Grace.
He
It's
went
Mark
from
Grace.
88 to 2000.
13 seasons.
Third.
He's second.
Is he second?
Most. Yep.
Oh.
The only other guys with 10 are Charlie Grimm and Anthony Rizzo.
Hey, wow, Rizzo was 10 years. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll get to them.
Rizzo played first more seasons than Frank Chance did.
Oh. Well, Chance is going to be around the corner here.
So the guy, the poor SOB tasked with replacing Cap Anson was a guy named Bill Everett, who did it in 98 and 99, and he did nothing. He has no comps. He did nothing of note. He stood by first base and kept it dry when it rained.
Get the hell out of here,
But in 1900, who I don't have to tell you who the great John Ganzel is.
Wait, I think you do.
But you might know his number 5 comp. Maybe on your family tree, Jiggs Donahue.
Old Jiggs for the Chicago White Sox. Yes, we've discussed this. It's Donahue with an A. He broke the Cubs' hearts in the 06 World Series.
Oh,
fucker! Did. I know.
Now, if you're John Ganzel and your entire career you were a position player, the fact that your number 9 comp is the big train Walter Johnson, is that a bad sign? I mean, Walter could hit, but he didn't hit like a position player. I was going to say, but that's his number 9 comp. I had to look to see if John pitched, and he didn't.
He didn't.
It's although just he had on offense alone that Walter Johnson has his number 9 comp.
Yeah, but he was a 250 hitter. I mean,
right? I'm saying he was the Carlos Zambrano of his era.
Walter Johnson was Walter Johnson. So it's not really reflecting poorly on Ganzel as much as it's reflecting well on the train.
Good for him. 1901, they hired another shiftless Irishman, Jack Doyle, who was born in Kilgorglen, Ireland.
Oh, wow.
He spent 17 years in the big leagues, but only 1 season with the Cubs. And his comps include number 4, Ginger Beaumont, and number 10, Heine Groh. Look at that Heine Groh.
Another Heine.
Another
Heine Groh. You got Heine Zimmerman. You got Heine Manouche. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand why Heine has fallen out of favor. Names come back all the time, right?
Anti-German sentiment.
Hipsters think it's cute to name their daughters like Ethel now. We can't get Heine back?
Heine. Yeah.
Heinrich. That's a,
It's strong.
Then from 1902 to 1910, the man they would write poems about. Frank Chance. Frank was a Hall of Famer. He had 297 with a 394 on base and a 395 slug.
Not bad. Well, I mean,
394 on base, 395 slug. In 15 seasons with the Cubs.
Ball era.
How many homers do you think Frank Chance hit in 15 years?
Let's see, 19?
20. You underestimated him. He also managed the Cubs, although Al Spalding did, and I didn't bother to give him credit. And Cap managed the team, too, for a while, right?
Yeah.
Those guys, first baseman had to manage the team. Was that part of the job share?
Part of the rule. It's like the closest base to the dugout, although if you're, on the road or whatever.
Frank
Not
Chance
always, I guess.
Managed the Cubs from 1905 to 1912. He won 4 pennants, 2 World Series, and his .664 winning percentage is the best in Cubs history. This is how I knew. Number 2 on the list was Al Spalding.
Bob?
But number 3, who do you think the third best winning percentage in Cub history is? He has
Joe
something
Madden,
in common.
right?
Right, with Frank Chance. They're the only 2 men to ever win World Series with the Cubs. Joe Madden, 581. Yeah. Cap Anson is 4th at 579. And Joe McCarthy, 5th at 579. And also at 579. There must be some hundredths of points.
There has to be. Unless, I can't.
Otherwise, they would have listed them as both at 4.
Equal. Yes.
I really enjoy the comps from the dead ball era. Here are these are Frank Chance's comps. Number 2, the great Billy Southworth, who I only know because it's kind of a cool name. Number 5, Chicken Wolf. You gotta love a guy named Chicken Wolf.
Hey, Chicken Wolf wasn't his first name. Chicken was his first name. I thought I was waiting for you to drop a last name.
No, it's not an name. I don't think he was an Indian.
Like Wolfman Jack.
No, it's Chicken.
Chicken Wolf.
Wolf. Last name Wolf.
Okay.
Related to Randy and which is the ump?
The umpire?
Who's still around? Jim.
Jim Wolf.
Jim? That didn't sound right, but I think it is.
No.
The guy who works out all the time.
Does he? Who does he think he is? Ed Hockley on the baseball
Yes,
umpire?
he's the baseball Hockley. Number 7, this is how good Frank Chance was. Darryl Hamilton. We're outfielder from the Brewers and the Mets.
Believe Darryl Hamilton's claim to fame as the first batter to ever bat in a regular season interleague game in 1997.
Oh, good for him. And when Frank was 28, the other 28-year-old in baseball history who had the same season he did, Leon Roberts. You might know him better as Bip. That's
really?
how good Frank Chance was. If you had got if you put Bip Roberts in a time machine and you went back to like 1905, he'd be Frank Chance. But I guarantee you Cap Anson would not be cool with it at all.
Bip, what's a bip? Wow.
Well, Frank was there during the first golden era of the Cubs.
He was front and center.
They were the best baseball team in the world for a lot of his time there.
Well, and his winning percentage will probably never be captured because it is a point of fact, of course, that the 06 Cubs have the greatest single season winning percentage, right? Because they still did the Mariners tie them with wins?
Dusty Baker's team in 1906. I was thinking 2006.
But that also, I read this once in one of Bill James's abstracts, but the 06-07 Cubs also have the greatest winning percentage over a 2-year consecutive period, and the 06-07-08 Cubs have the all-time greatest winning percentage for a 3-year period. So based off of that, I think that no one is ever going to catch Frank Chance in the Cubs all time, whatever it is. They were obviously always there because they won another pennant in 2010. And that was his last year as manager. So only 3 seasons. He went to the World Series in 4 of his 6 seasons, I guess. I mean, that's dominance.
Yep.
He was like the first real dominant manager of the World Series era, even more so than Connie Mack and John McGraw, who kind of quickly surpassed him in the next decade, I guess. But they were contemporaries, but Chance got out to the early lead as manager. We're talking first baseman.
He was born
if we
in
do a manager's
Fresno.
episode, we'll have to come back. I'm always fascinated by 19th century players that were like born in California. Like that must have really been wild frontier. How'd you learn to play baseball? But yeah, if we do a manager show, Frank will definitely get his due. In the first baseman, he's not even the leader in the clubhouse. It's still Cap, right?
So when Frank left in 1910, first base was manned from 1911 to 1916 by Vic Sire. I don't know who he is. He did lead the National League in triples with 21 in 1913. Here are Vic Sire's comps if you want to get a feel for number 3, Casey Kochman. Number 4, Ty France.
Twin? Wait.
Kochman with
Casey
Angels?
Kochman, that's a modern
Angels?
player.
Ty France, number 4. Cub D. Fondy, number 7. Number 8, Sid Bream. And number 10, Doug Minkiewicz. That was basically Vic Sire.
Slow-footed first baseman on that list.
1917 and 1920, Cubs' primary first baseman was a guy who is famous, infamous.
Yes.
And who had helped the Cubs win a World Series in 1908 while he was playing for the Giants.
Yep.
They named male erections after this man. Fred Merkel, the boner.
I have to share a Fred Merkel story that's not as well known.
Do you think I need to say male erections? That probably was a little redundant.
I had, it is true. Everyone knows Fred Merkel was victimized by the rule book in 1908 when I think it was Johnny Evers made the heady play to alert the umpire that he hadn't touched second on a game. Would have been a game.
It's Fred's fault. Just because there was a riot on the field preventing him to get to the second base bag.
It's a great story.
Got to fight your way through it, Freddie.
Here's what's funny is that if you look at the 1912 World Series between the they're the Red Sox. I think it was the first year of Fenway Park, and the New York Giants. I think there was a game 8 because one of the games was a tie, but it was effectively a game 7. Christy Mathewson was pitching for the Giants. There's a player in this game that was also ended up living in ignominy, and his name was Fred Snodgrass. I don't know if you had your mic out, but if that name rings a bell, Fred Snodgrass. In some ways, I think Merkel's outlasted him. But if you watch Ken Burns' Civil War series, there's one bumper scene with George Plimpton, the great George Plimpton. And Plimpton shares a story about this Boston outfielder named Fred Snodgrass, who died in like 1968. And the headline of the New York.
Was this really in the Civil War documentary, or was this in baseball?
Did I say the Civil War?
I was waiting for how's he going to pull this together?
Fuck me.
Okay.
Ken Burns' baseball. Sorry, folks. I'm addled.
Somebody's going to sit through like 14 hours of Shelby Foote waiting for a baseball story that wasn't coming. Fucking Donahue. If I have to hear about Little Bull Run one more fucking time while I'm waiting for this baseball.
Right. There is an Abner Doubleday. But anyway, no, it's Ken Burns' baseball. There's a bumper scene with the late great George Plimpton, describing that when this Fred Snodgrass fella, what happens in the game is that Snodgrass, the Giants, John McGraw's Giants had a 1-run lead in the bottom of the 12th inning, and Snodgrass muffed a routine fly ball. And eventually Boston ended up getting the 2 runs, tying and winning the game, winning the series. And Plimpton tells the story in the context of 50 years later, Fred Snodgrass dies, And the first line of his obituary is, and he'd gone on to a post baseball career. He was like in local politics. He was a very valuable contributor to his community and society at large. And but the headline of the New York Times was Fred Snodgrass, player who muffed ball in the 1912 World Series. What's amazing about this is the game went extra innings. Merkel was with the Giants from, he was like a rookie in 08 when he got pantsed by Johnny Evers and Cubs won the pennant. In the seventh inning of the 1912 World Series, the reason the Giants had the lead was because of an RBI single delivered by Fred Merkel, which would have made him the hero and won the World Series. But instead, in the bottom of the inning, Fred Snodgrass drops a fly ball. Apparently makes an incredible diving catch on the next play, but whatever, they had traffic on the bases and eventually Boston won it. So just, I always found that to be astounding, a twist of fate. When I learned that 5 years ago, and it was a few years before that when I read the book about Babe Ruth and the 1918 Red Sox. You may have read the same book. Basically, it was the World Series that year. That I found that at the time pretty amusing that Fred Merkel played for the Cubs and he played the World Series for the Cubs. And he was, according to what you just reported, their regular first baseman for actually 4 seasons.
4 seasons.
So, but anyway.
So a few things about that. Number one, my dad always liked the fact George Plimpton did all kinds of stuff, and he was an actor. He was in a Western with John Wayne, and Wayne apparently always called him Pimpleton. He thought that was his name instead of Plimpton.
No, Pimpleton.
Of course, he wrote the book Paper Lion, which is also a movie.
It is a movie. You're right.
Yeah, and it's very good. Where he, in one preseason, he plays for the Detroit Lions. Yeah, he gets his ass
Alex
kicked.
Karras's day, I think.
But anyway, so whenever we bring up Fred Merkel, I put a plug in for the Kate Murphy book, Crazy 8.
Great book.
It's a great book. A lot of insane shit happened in that 1908 season, and she does a great job.
In both leagues, not just the
it's
Cubs
2 incredible
Giants.
pennant races, and
yeah.
She does a good job of kind of exonerating Fred. He certainly didn't deserve the shit he got. Basically, he was on base he was on first base when what the should have been game-winning run was driven in. It was in wherever the Giants played. They played in the Polo Grounds?
It was Polo Grounds, some iteration of it. There are 3 of them.
Fans ran out on the field, were jumping up and down, and Fred couldn't get to second base. And he's like, oh, fuck, the game's over. And Fred left. And Johnny Evers saw it and went and grabbed a ball. It might not have been the ball, and stepped on second base, and the ump called Fred out. And then I think it's in that book. I think it's Kate. It was all kinds of shit.
I think it's Kate Murphy's book, though, where she goes deeper and points out that there was a game a few weeks earlier involving the Cubs, maybe not the Giants, and the umpire is the same. I don't know if it was Jocko Conlon, maybe was the umpire, can't remember. But that happened, and the umpire was like, Johnny, the game's over. Evers was like, no, man, I get it. People are on the field, but, you got to go. You have to complete the play. And he was right. Yep. It might seem pedantic, and I think a lot of times people just let it go, right? No one's going to make a big deal out of it. A guy peels off. He doesn't go all the way down to second. But Kate Murphy, I think, really goes into detail about a similar situation that happened a few weeks before. So it wasn't so outlandish that they ruled. The ump was basically forced to make the right decision because Evers was like, dude, if that happens, I'm telling you, and you're right, the ball that he ended up getting might not have would have been the actual ball. I mean, it's crazy.
No, they're pretty sure that was not that wasn't the ball. That's what and then also the Pirates were mad because they were the other team in the race, and it would have been more advantageous for the Giants to have won than the Cubs, and so they were pissed, and everybody was pissed, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There was no commissioner, so I don't remember who was of one. I know they tried
president.
They tried to literally sue and take it to a court and all kinds of shit. They had to replay the game.
Wow.
And
correct. They ended up in a tie. Yeah. And they played 2 weeks later or whatever. And I think Mordecai outdueled Christie. But yeah. So Fred Merkel really kind of weaves himself in and out of baseball lore and Cubs lore.
When Fred was done with first base, Ray Grimes took over from 1921 to 1923. I don't know anything about
the Simpsons character.
Yep. Good old Grimesy.
I thought it was Ray, but it might have been.
No. What is it? It's Fred, maybe? We got a lot of Freds.
I'm
No,
gonna,
that
I'm
doesn't
gonna
sound
have
right.
to.
But among his comps, number 2, Steel Arm Davis. Number 3, Willie Bobo. And number 5, Wild Bill Wright. Not Wild Bill Holden.
Wild
That's
Bill
a different.
Wright.
That's a different guy.
No, that's right. It's Ron Santos, buddy. It's Frank Grimes that was on The Simpsons.
Frank Grimes. That's right. And it's F. I was getting close.
enough.
1924. One year only. Hooks Cotter played first base.
Oh, Mr. Cotter. Dude,
He is buried in Forest Lawn Cemetery in Hollywood, California.
Wow.
He's from California, so you would have been fascinated by him because he would have grown up when it was the Wild West still.
In the hinterlands.
Then we get a little stability. Actually, quite a bit of stability now coming up. 1925 to 1934, the first baseman was Charlie Grimm.
Jolly Cholly and his banjo.
12 years with the Cubs. He hit .296 with a .349 on base and a .405 slug. He managed the Cubs from 1932 to 1938, and again from 1944 to 1949. He won 3 pennants with a .547 winning percentage. His comps include number 3, Stuffy McInnes. Number 6, Wally Pipp. Number 8, Chris Chambliss. A couple of great names there. Number 9, number 9, Cub legend and his successor, Phil Cavaretta. And number 10, comedian George Burns. Well,
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Maybe a different George Burns.
Perhaps. How long was he the first baseman? Was
10
that
years.
Was he one of the 10-year plus?
10
club?
seasons. They had Jolly Cholly at first. He was a pretty good player.
The numbers you read. I mean, if you didn't have a franchise that even in their first 50 years didn't already have some of the top players in the game, and Spalding and Anson and Chance, Grimm would be up there, but he's probably can't push himself past third place. But again, another manager. So it's like, if we're gonna have a good team, it's best to just have our first baseman be the manager. That seems to be the trend.
Seems to be what they just did, yeah.
Although Chance didn't become manager till later. He was acquired as a first baseman. Joe McCarthy probably would have been the manager when Grimm came along in 25. He moved more to a player manager role in the 30s, but definitely a hell of a player.
Well, yeah, he took over for Joe, right? In 32? He had to have.
Yeah. Was it 32? I think McCarthy was gone before 32, though. I think he was gone like after 30, because 32 they played Joe McCarthy in the World Series. Did they, or maybe not? Or they did. I think maybe McCarthy beat them twice. I don't know offhand. It definitely was their manager in 38. You might, yeah, maybe.
Let's see here.
I think Grimm was their manager in the 32 and 35 series, and Hartnett was the manager in 38. And then Grimm came back to be just the manager in 45.
Pulled up the wrong Joe McCarthy. Yeah, you're right.
Joe Morgan.
Joe McCarthy left after the 30 season. He'd won the pennant in 29 with the Cubs. He left during the 30 season. Who took over for him then?
What do you mean, Grimm?
Hornsby.
Hornsby.
For the last 4 games. He went 4-0.
And then into next year or no? Hornsby?
Let's see. I did this wrong. I should have gone to the franchise page. I went to Joe McCarthy's page. That's fucking me up here. All right, let's see.
Yeah, it was Hornsby for a little bit.
And then Hornsby for the first,
got whacked
during the 32 season. That's why Charlie was there for the World Series.
Yes. Charlie took him to the series 32 and I think 35.
He won 100 games in 35. And he was the manager in 38, but he got fired and Gabby Hartnett took over.
Wow. So
they were 45 and 36 when they fired him. They were 9 games over, but they went 44 and 27 under Gabby.
They had higher standards in those
PK
days
wasn't
too.
fucking around.
They were winning the pennant every 3 years. The 35 Cubs, I believe, is when Cavaretta moves Grimm off of first, because I believe he played in the World Series as a 20-year-old. Basically graduates from Lane Tech High School. and then goes up the road to Wrigley Field.
Yeah,
He
so
was 18.
Phil Cavaretto was the primary first baseman in 36, 40, and then 41 to 45 when he played outfield.
Also 35, though.
He played outfield in
Pennant
between.
winner. But he was also the first baseman in 35 primarily, even though he was only 18.
Oh, maybe I was supposed to write 35 instead of 36. Because I just had 1 year as a standalone there for Phil.
Yeah.
Phil won the batting title in 1945 and was the MVP.
He was.
While all the able-bodied men were at war.
I know. Kind of, you don't want to crow too much about winning the MVP when, they got a dude in St. Louis playing with one arm. So
Phil's comps include number 1, Dixie Walker.
Probably might give Cap Anson a run for his money in the racist department. Dixie Walker was one of the few above average players who was very outspoken against integration around the time of Jackie Robinson. Yep. I think what you'll notice if you read your baseball history, all the best players were pro-integration because they wanted to fucking play against the best. It was usually the mediocrities that knew that their jobs were at stake. And so, like the Ty Cobbs, the Ted Williams, they were pro. They were like, no, these are the best players on the planet. They should play. It was usually the middling players that fought. But Dixie was an above-average player, but he was such a good old boy, apparently. He was pretty vehemently opposed to a segregation or integration. So, there.
So, Dixie was on the Dodgers in what year is this? 40. What year did Jackie come up?
47 was Jackie's rookie year.
And Dixie circulated a petition and presented it to Leo DeRocher. It said, if you promote a black man, we will not play. Branch Rickey told DeRocher, stomp this fire out right now because we can't let it spread. DeRocher called a meeting of the players and said, I don't care if the guy's yellow or black, if he has stripes like a fucking zebra. I'm the manager of this team. I say he plays. What's more, I say he can make us all rich. Dixie left a note for Branch Rickey asking to be traded.
Oh my God. What a person. Oh, and his brother was Harry the Hat Walker.
Oh, of course.
He's equally split.
And Dixie's real name was Fred. So Fred's in baseball have a very checkered history for a lot of reasons. We're going to get to one later who was a real piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
For not any reason other than just padding his stats when everything was over.
Yeah, so Phil rated with Dixie. But yeah, Phil, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I was about to go off.
But I thought you were going to say that Phil wasn't necessarily year in, year out first baseman.
He was not.
But he played all kinds of.
He was versatile. They could put him wherever they needed.
Who else gets thrown in the mix there?
Well, this is where it gets good as far as the names from one name to the next.
Better than the 19th century names?
37 to 38, the Cubs' first baseman was Ripper Collins. He was an all-star in 37. His comps, the number 2 comp for Ripper Collins, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Who knew?
Wow.
Cub Hall of Famer Monty Irvin. Go listen to the left field one for the asterisk that gets attached to that.
That's right.
Rusty Greer. Mike Hands Easler.
We just made a reference of Mike Easley in a text. That's hilarious. Rusty Greer was the late 90s Texas Rangers outfielder.
Number 9, John Kruk, and number 10, Kevin Youkilis. So they had Ripper Collins, and then 1939, the first baseman was Rip Russell. Went from Ripper to Rip. And Rip didn't make much of a... This is how good Rip was. His number 8 comp, former Cubs center fielder Rafael Ortega. good old number 66.
Rafael Ortega threw my son a ball in 2021. That's all I got on that guy.
1941, it was Babe Dahlgren, former Yankee.
Yes. Babe Dahlgren.
Wasn't all that good. Wasn't terrible. He wasn't that good. tough to be a Yankee named Babe and not be a
Well,
star.
yeah, I think he actually succeeded Lou Gehrig. Maybe I have that wrong. Lou Gehrig famously replaces Wally Pipp. And then when he asks out of the lineup, Babe Dahlgren may have, who cares? But didn't even, I don't even know if I knew he was with the Cubs.
He was only there 1 year. Let's see. Lou finished playing in 1939. Babe Dahlgren was the Yankees' first baseman in 1939.
There you go.
He was basically as good as Lou. In 1939, Babe Dahlgren, 235 with a 312 on base and a 377 slug.
Oh my God.
The next year,
You're right. Like,
next year he led the American League in games played. He had 264, 325, 384. His year with the Cubs, 41, 281, 360, 476 was pretty good, actually. It's one of his best seasons.
Yeah.
It was, in fact, it
away
was his
from the
best.
pressure.
It was the best season of his career.
Okay,
He had been with
yeah.
the Boston Braves earlier in the season. He came over to
Yeah.
the Cubs. How'd the Cubs get him? It's going to be exciting. They bought him.
Boston Braves.
They bought him on June 15th.
Either bought or trade.
This is good. On May 13th, he was purchased away from the Cubs by the St. Louis Browns. And on May 18th, he was returned to the Cubs. They kept the receipt and they sent Babe back.
Right. They had a 14-day policy, apparently.
It's a whirlwind for Babe, because then the next day, May 19th, the Dodgers bought him from the Cubs. So Browns bought him for $10,000, gave him back, and then the next day the Cubs sold him to the Dodgers for $10,000. So
I'm not some whore. He passed around like currency.
You know. 1946 to 1948 is a guy we've talked about an inordinate amount because of something off the field that happened to him. Eddie Waitkus.
That's right. Eddie Waitkus.
Let's see. He was an all-star in 1948. He finished 13th in the MVP voting in 1946, and he got shot by a broad. That's what I wrote for
Correct.
notes.
After he left the Cubs and was a member of the Phillies, but had come back to Chicago to play against the Cubs. And yeah, the assailant was a woman from Cicero, I believe. I recently read up on this again, but
and that we kind of figured of the two famous shootings.
Billy Jurgis was the other one, and he was the shortstop on the 32 Cubs.
The Waitkus one seems the most like the natural.
Yes,
well, it's kind of a combination of the two, really.
It kind of is. Yeah, it's weird. They're both linked to Chicago and the Cubs. Jurgis was a Cub. I think Jurgis's was in New York. I don't remember now. They might have both been in Chicago. I think Waitkus's just seemed to be more celebrated, maybe because it was in the 40s or 50s, and I think that was the one that was at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in the Edgewater neighborhood. But there are a lot of similarities. So it very well, Bernard Malamud may have just kind of made a composite. Yep. But yeah, they're two distinct cases of current major league ball players getting gunned down by women in the 30s and 50s
and continuing to play.
And they both came back.
Yep.
They weren't murdered. So, yeah,
Eddie's comps include number 4, Chick Gandil, one of the innocent Black Sox.
Correct. I was going to say the blackballed Chick Gandil, one of the famous 8 Men Out.
Played by Medavoy from NYPD Blue. Gordon
Jump.
What's his last name? No, Gordon. That was Mr.
Jump?
C from WKRP. It was Gordon Jump.
And also the Kitty Diddler from Different Strokes. He was going hard after Dudley. Yeah.
Gordon Clapp. How did I forget that? Stubby Clapp's dad.
It was a one syllable name. I knew it.
So Chick Gandil, number 4. Number 8, Pat Tabler. And number 9, John Jay. I'm not sure if it's the outfielder or the Supreme Court judge.
Or the Supreme Court justice.
Sure. One of the two.
Both former Cubs.
1949, Herman Reich. Who would have thought he'd have played third?
I just watched a documentary on Nuremberg. Nope. That's very fresh in my mind, by the way. The Nuremberg trials, but so.
Herman, no baseball reference, didn't do any comps for Herman. 1950, Preston Ward took over at first base. His comps include Pete Lecoq and Mike Aldretti.
Ooh, Mike Aldretti, one of those players from the 80s that was like he seemed like a good hitter, but he just wasn't really around that long.
Yeah. A nice swing. So you always thought
Yeah.
he was good. He was solid. And you thought,
lefty
well, this guy's going to be
swing.
really
I
good.
think
And he
he was-
never was really
might
good.
have-
He was just fine.
Might have been in the '89 Giants, but he didn't do anything against the Cubs that hurt him. But yeah, good player.
Then in 1951, the guy who played the most games at first base for the Cubs. I'm so glad he's on this list because I was going to figure out how to shoehorn him in. And I'm going to tell you who he is. I'm just going to tell you who his comps are. I had to go do the comps myself. His comps are James Arness, Robert Conrad, Clint Eastwood, and Lee Majors.
Oh, I got this. It's Chuck Connors.
Chuck Connors, the rifleman. He played 67 games for the Cubs. That was the most of any first baseman in the area. 238 with a 280 on base and a 302
Yeah,
slug.
he was terrible.
2 homers and 18 RBIs. He had played 2 years before for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he said, fuck this. And he went to Hollywood and he became a cowboy.
Chuck Connors, though, also was a 2-sport professional athlete, played for the Boston Celtics.
Doesn't it seem like every white guy who was a 2-sport player played for the Celtics? I guess not Dave DeBusschere, right?
It didn't mean he could play it all. Yeah, kids, if you're curious, there's a somewhat popular black and white weekly television show in America in the 1950s called the Rifleman.
It was on syndication when I was a kid. I used to watch it.
Yeah,
I used to like how he would do the weird thing with the gun where he would just he would like just hit the I don't even know what it was. It's on the front. It was like the I don't know, but he could just hit it over and over again. It would just keep shooting. I don't know where all the bullets were.
Yeah, there's of course there's no shortage of of YouTube clips of the Rifleman. I just found one and pop it in. It's pretty funny. It's the intro. He's very aggressively firing his rifle. There's the chat. But yeah, Chuck Connors, actor, Cubs first baseman. And Boston Celtic. Like 2-sport. 2-sport. I wonder if did he go to college? Where did he learn to play on the hardwood?
Oh, it's the closing credits. I want the opening credits. What's with the... Oh, here we go. I got him.
He went to Seton Hall.
There he is. He's all right.
He was an English major. A Renaissance man. Played varsity basketball at Seton Hall. There we go. See?
What's going on here? There we go.
Yeah.
The Rifleman.
Oh, yeah.
Starring Chuck Connors.
Charlie Grimm.
Yeah, he could shoot a can of peaches off your head and dig a ball out of the dirt with his backhand.
Well, he would get replaced for a fair amount of time, 5 full seasons, by D. Fondy.
So D. Fondy was on the 45. He was the first baseman on the 45 Cubs then? Would have to be. It's a name we'd always heard of. If my dad were alive, he'd probably have 20 stories. You could tell me right off, just rattle off.
Well, Cavaretta was first baseman on the 45 Cubs.
Ah, okay. Again, there's a lot of fluidity going on here.
Yeah, so apparently he was on the 35
position in
and 45, but in between he played outfield for a while. Yeah, D.
Oh,
Fondy
okay.
played 7 seasons with the Cubs, and this is symmetry for you. In 7 seasons, he stole 66 bases. He got caught 47 times. And he hit 66 homers. Look at that. He was a 9-9 guy every year, whether he needed it or not. His comps include such stars as Steve Henderson,
Future Cub,
Vic Sire, and Doug Mankiewicz. Doug Mankiewicz on this list.
And that's the second Minkiewicz and the second Vic Sire reference. I don't even know who this Vic Sire is or how you'd spell it.
Saier.
Saier.
1957 and 1959, Dale Long played for the Cubs. Do you know what he's most famous for?
I do.
From the year
let me think if
before.
I can get this right. Yes, but not with the Cubs,
No,
I believe.
1956.
Yeah.
With Pittsburgh?
Was it with the Tigers?
Where
I thought it was, or maybe I'm thinking of a different, like a Rudy York record that Sammy broke. Dale Long set the mark for home runs, I want to say, in consecutive games, and it was matched by Don Mattingly. It was matched, if not exceeded, by Don Mattingly in the 80s. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. In 1956, it was with the Pirates. He homered in 8 straight games.
Pirates.
Don Mattingly tied that record in 1987, and in 1993, Ken Griffey Jr. also did it.
Oh, so it hasn't been held by Dale Long for 32 years, but at one point that was a fun fact because the reason I remember that so easily, even though it's so buried in obscurity now, is that when Mattingly tied the mark, Dale Long obviously is not really a noteworthy player, but for that amazing streak that he was on, and when Mattingly tied the record, Dale Long's name was being evoked for the first time in 30 years, and of course my dad would right away, he played for the Cubs. Yeah. Really? When he hit those homers? No, not when he hit those homers, but he played for the Cubs, and he did.
Yeah, Dale played 10 years in the big leagues, hit 132 homers total. He had an 805 career OPS. He was better than people knew. He led the year before he hit the 8 consecutive homers, he led the National League in triples with 13.
Okay.
Which is really weird because he hit 13 triples in 55 and 7 in 56. He'd hit 2 in his whole life before then, and after that he hit 8.
Are there ballpark factors? Was that like his only year? And I
don't know. He had like 11 within the next 8 years. He had triples power for 1 year. Dale Long was followed up from 1960 to 1961 by Ed Bushey. Bushey?
Never even heard of
him. His comps include Tony Horton, who was from P90X fame. Oh, maybe that might be a different Tony Horton.
I don't even know.
Although if you do the P90X workouts, you will know that there's one workout you do where Tony tells you that his dad played some pro ball and threw a no-hitter.
What's his name?
Tony Horton. Tony Horton.
Is that Ricky Horton's kid?
No, his dad threw one in some semi-pro league.
Willie Horton?
Yeah, it was Willie Horton. No, not Willie Horton the player, Willie Horton the criminal.
Correct.
The one that Mike Dukakis
I made that reference to forklift today because Mickey Lolich died, and Fork was just saying that 68 Tigers team was like the first team that he remembered. He mentioned Willie Horton. I'm like, yeah, and then Willie had to go and murder that woman. And
Mike
what's his name? Lee Atwater. Lee Atwater made a big lunch out of it. Yeah.
Ed Bushey's number 10 comp is Ryan O'Hearn, current player who, for some reason, Praz was pining over for most of the offseason. that was the guy going to solve the Cubs' problems. It was Ryan O'Hearn, and he signed with the Pirates. So now he's going to torment the Cubs all year. A bunch of big hits.
Oh, boy.
Then, I don't know if you've heard of this guy who played first base from 1962, primary first baseman until 69. He played until 71. Ernie Banks? I don't know who that is.
That's right.
I've never heard of that guy.
Well, we've already installed him in this discussion as the no-brainer of the all-time shortstop, even though, he's right. Like, I'm surprised he moved off of short that early. Seems early, but whatever. Because he wasn't a bad shortstop at his peak. He must have just really fallen off.
I forget we had to look up who they replaced him with, and then it was like, why are we in such a hurry to do this?
Yeah, it might have been mismanagement because, like, it wasn't like he wasn't a liability when he was one of those MVPs.
Well, remember they moved him to third for a while. We found that out. He was on the third baseman list too.
Yeah,
but then they jacked him around like.
Could just be mismanagement. Yeah, because it's not like they had the next great shortstop behind him.
Wasn't even Roy Smalley.
No, Smalley was before him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. It's probably just in Cubs ineptitude to do that.
Well, it's Andre
They got
Rogers.
too cute.
Had to get,
Okay.
Had to get Andre Rogers in the lineup.
Because Banks in 62, was he 30? I mean, I get it. Shortstop, it's such an important position.
So he
You
was
can
bad in
age out of
62.
it.
He played 130
Deflecting.
games. He was 227, 292, 403. Hit 18 homers, 64 RBIs. So not so good.
We're talking who?
Ernie.
Rogers or Banks?
Ernie.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, it's bad here.
But bounce back. That was 63. Sorry. 62 he moved. 62 he's fine. 37 homers, 104 RBIs. And then he had a bad year in 63, but 64, he probably must have been. He was probably playing with something. 23 and 95, and then 28 and 106. He was back to being Ernie.
Maybe 63 was when his first wife was divorcing him. Took him to the cleaners. Affected his play.
Whatever you do, leave the memorabilia. Nobody's ever going to sell that. As a shortstop with the Cubs, Ernie 290, 353, 552, 298 homers, and 858 RBIs. As a first baseman, 258, 306, 448, 214 homers, and 778. The 448 slug is fine at first base. Like that wasn't, you know. His on base really took a hit. But he was still.
What was it again? You said
306.
Yeah,
at first base. Wasn't getting on
for
there.
like 7 years at that position, 8 years.
But he had 214 homers in 7 years.
Okay.
Well, I get that it's probably 9 years because he was a first baseman in 70 and 71. He just didn't play. And say 71, he was gone early, right?
Yeah.
So 70, he was still around, but he wasn't the primary first. The first
69 was really
Jim Hickman was playing first base in 70 and going nuts. We'll get to Jim in a second.
We came across that just from another discussion.
Well, yeah, because he's a right fielder, right? Is he in our right field discussion or left?
Okay,
I forget where Jim.
God, they moved around.
Ernie's comps. I was going to look this up, guys. I didn't list them all, but I'm pretty sure now with recent developments, I believe they're all Hall of Famers now.
Oh,
let's see: Eddie Matthews, Mike Schmidt, Andre Dawson, Billy Williams. Oh no, there's not. Gary Sheffield will not make it. Fred McGriff, Willie Stargell, Willie McCuffey. I forgot Sammy's in there. But Carlos Beltran has been added to the Hall of Fame list of Ernie's 10.
Weird that Beltran's in and Sheffield and Sosa still aren't. They played long before him.
Well, that's all right. Carlos never did anything questionable.
He was a great player.
Oh, that's right. He orchestrated literal one-team cheating for 2 full seasons. He was in charge of it.
It's such an indefensible stance now. It's like, can we give up the charade? Clemens and Bonds are both the biggest assholes ever, but they were also the greatest players at their respective positions for 15 years. I mean, I know this is not why we're talking about it. It's such a stupid farce now.
So if you read the book, Winning Fixes Everything, about those Astros teams, Carlos wasn't just like one of the guys. Carlos was like the guy who would hide the TV when they thought the umps might be onto him. He's the guy who developed the relay system from the hallway to the thing. And then because he was the DH, he was the guy who did most of the yelling that it was time to hit the trash can.
Yeah, he was the fucking ringleader.
Yes, that doesn't happen without him. And it's like, apparently it's just fine. Like the Mets had hired him as a manager, had to fire him because that's when it came out.
Yeah.
So but it's fine. We'll just put him in the Hall of Fame. Whatever. Okay, great.
Whatever. A-Rod too. I mean, I know he's a weirdo, but he's not in.
No.
I know he was.
But his stat. I mean, I don't think A-Rod's stats are really that good. He only hit 692 homers. He only won a batting title in 21.
Did he
do anything notable? No.
Yeah. So
1970, Ernie's still on the team, but Jim Hickman has taken over as the primary first baseman. Jim Hickman, 315, 419, 582. That's 1,001 OPS, 32 homers, 115 RBIs. He'd never had a season anywhere close to that before, and he would never have another one. Something was going on.
Drug test him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he made his only All-Star team, much to Ray Fosse's chagrin.
He got the hit that drove in Pete Rose that resulted in some epic iconography, if nothing else.
I did enjoy blowing Oleg and Praz's minds with which Cub pitcher threw 3 innings in an All-Star game in 1987.
19 what year?
87.
Was it Lee Smith?
Lee Smith.
Wow.
Nothing like
Never
having
happened today.
Well, Davey Johnson blow your fucking closer's arm out for 3 innings. It's because
true.
it went into extra innings. They ran out of pitchers. That's why
That's
Lee kept
amazing.
pitching.
I never knew that. It's probably cost Rick Sutcliffe a Cy Young, because if you take any one of the 5 games that Lee Smith blew for Sutcliffe that year, probably pulls him ahead of Steve Bedrosian.
Hickman's comps are all are these all Hall of Famers too? You might want to, I don't know, get the list out and check. Candy Maldonado, Eric Hinsky, and Michael Tucker. Any of those guys?
They're Hall of Famers, just not baseball Hall of Famers.
They're not even going to make the utility tunnel of fame, even though they're all Cubs
Candy
stars.
Maldonado.
I mean, Hinsky would have to make it as a coach because he didn't
Candy
actually play.
Maldonado.
Although he is.
Remember when?
Go
ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, remember when Andy McPhail took credit for Eric Hinsky's Rookie of the Year? He went on. They drafted 2 Rookies of the Year under my watch. Right. Eric Hinsky and Dontrell Willis. Neither one of them ever played for the Cubs, though. Andy.
Yes.
I don't know that counts. Okay, sorry, I stepped on your Candy Maldonado.
Well, like Candy Maldonado, I'm thinking of guys that came to town and were like the minuscule period of time it required for the entire fan base to hate him. And I think, like, who's in that class? Todd Hundley, Candy Maldonado, like, because he was part of the cadre of money that Larry Himes was able to spend to replace Greg Maddox. I mean, he was mostly pitchers.
The craziest
Candy was the big outfield acquisition, and he was so bad, and we hated him so much that they had to trade him by August.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. I think back, if you had asked me before we've looked at that, how long did he play for the Cubs? I would have been like, oh God, I think he played for like a season and a half. No, he played 70 games. He made that impression that fast.
Half a season. Yeah.
70 games.
Yeah, so.
He was worth minus 1.3 WAR. He'd have been better off just tying a glove to a stick and sticking it in left field. Yeah, 186, 260, 286 slug.
For a certain cross section of Cub fans, that name just basically triggers some real. Like,
he was Isak Paredes is basically who he was. Except he actually had let's see, he had 7 more extra base hits than Isak because he had 8.
That's right.
Actually, that's just Isak's at Wrigley. He had 1 extra base hit at Wrigley. He had a homer into the basket.
Yeah, that's true. Oh boy.
Hickman was also the first baseman in 72 and 73, but in 1971, Joe Pepitone played first base.
Oh, hey. Character.
According to Jay Johnstone, Joe Pepitone's claim to fame is he was the first major leaguer to use a hairdryer in the clubhouse.
Correct.
Do you know what Joe Pepitone's stats were? He came over during the season, and he played 115 games for the Cubs. 307, 347, 482, 16 homers, and 60 RBIs.
Good player, sure. Yeah, he was like one of the last prospects out of like the dying Yankee that had finally exhausted their 40-year run, and he was like one of the last young players that came up before they kind of turned to dust for a while. And yeah, he was flashy. Who was it? Pete Sheehy? Was he that legendary Yankees clubhouse guy? Their version of Yosh Kawano, but he did the home clubhouse. Like, suppose he made a big deal out of the fact that Joe Pepitone brought a hairdryer into the clubhouse. Supposedly they had mop connections too. I think that came out in the last few years.
A guy named Pepitone? I don't believe it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, played for New York.
So he had been with Houston in 70, and the Cubs bought him. So he finished the 70 season with the Cubs, and he was okay. He still hit 12 homers and 56 RBIs for the Cubs that year. 498.
What year was he? Around 70, 71?
He was there. So he came over in 70 from the Colt 45s.
How old was he?
Was that where they were still? Were they the Astros yet?
They're the
70?
Astros.
They're the Astros, yeah. He came over for nothing, and then he played all of 71 with the Cubs, and he had a nice year. And then he played 72 with the Cubs, and then they traded him in 1973 to the Atlanta Braves for... Actually, there's a guy in between. I screws it up. No, it doesn't. For his successor at first base. Kind of. So it went
Who?
Hickman in 70, Pepitone in 71, and they kind of shared it in 72. Hickman had more games.
Right.
73 it was Hickman again, and then 1974 and 1975 was the guy the Cubs traded Joe Pepitone to the Braves for.
It would be the first baseman before Buckner came to town. 2 years at 74, 75,
Yep.
Braves first baseman. Not
He was
like
a
Larry
prospect.
Bittner or anything.
He was a prospect with the Braves. Andre Thornton.
Oh, who had a nice career.
After the
when
Cubs
the
traded
Cubs
him away.
gave up on him.
Yes, they traded him to the Expos for Larry
Yeah.
Bittner.
Expos,
Two I's, two
and then he had a
T's.
nice career.
And Steve
He had,
Brinko.
he had a nice career with the Wobegon Indians
Yep.
early through the 80s.
Yeah, because I remember as a kid, I would see Andre playing for the Indians. I had no idea he'd ever played for the Cubs. No.
Yeah, like that's something your brother would have told you. Like, hey, he played for the Cubs. Like, what?
Pepitone's comps for his career. Oh, this is good. His number one comp is the only baseball player ever whose first and last names are 4 body parts.
That sounds like a Pat Hughes extravaganza.
You want to guess?
Tony?
Tony.
Tony
That's 2.
is that the
Tony.
is are Graffinino's parts
Nope.
of the body? Or
This is a former Red
Or
Sox.
is- oh, Tony Conigliaro?
Yep. A Knig and an arrow. Yes, that's right. No. Also an A, I think.
Who?
Tony
Who
Arm
is it?
Ass.
Oh, Tarmac.
Tony Arms.
Even though it's one S, but I
Tony
like
Arm
it.
Ass.
I wish to get Tony Moore as an Oakland A anyway, but okay.
That was number one. Actually,
Wow.
Pat couldn't use that on. That's too dirty for Pat.
Make Pat blush.
There's no way Chip would have said it. Tony Armass, Oscar Gamble, Dave Henderson, and Jeffrey Leonard. One arm down. Jeffrey Leonard. Remember that?
Wait a second. Oh, those are the comps.
No, those are not another names
Yeah,
with body parts. No, those are the comps.
You
for
know
Joe
what Jeffrey
Pepitone.
Leonard's possibly problematic nickname was?
No.
Penitentiary face? I mean, it just means you look like a badass. But yeah, I can see where that could be a little misconstrued.
So, Andre Thornton, 74 and 75. His comps, Adam LaRoche, Nick Swisher, Carlos Pena, and Matt Stairs. So 2 Cub first
Carlos
basemen.
Pena. Yeah, they're gonna come up again in about 20 minutes.
1976. The guy who played the most games at first base was a Cub first round draft pick in 1970. He was the 20th overall selection.
No way.
Do you know who it
Did
is?
he go to Cal State Fullerton or something? We're talking Buckner, obviously.
Nope. 77 is when Buck finally played the most games at first.
Oh, I jumped the gun. 76.
This is a Hollywood connection.
Oh, thank you. Good call. Peter Marshall's son, Peter Lecoq.
Pete Lecoq Jr. So he
Yes,
was the
because Peter Marshall's real name is Pete Lecoq.
Yeah. So of the
I'm sure
of the 1970
They had to change it because Paul Lynn's head would have just exploded with the double entendres.
of the 1970 first round, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 5 players actually played in the big leagues. The number 1 overall pick, Chris Chambliss. Number 2, John Scott. Not the guy who played for the Blackhawks.
Former Blackhawk. Yeah.
Number 5, Dwayne Kuiper. He was the 5th pick of the draft by the White Sox. And he did not sign with the White Sox. Dwayne Kuiper got drafted 6 times. He finally signed with the 6th team that picked him, the Cleveland Indians. Because he used to be able to get picked. They had 2 drafts every year. They'd have like a June draft and a winter draft. And he had started a community college, so he was eligible after that. And then he was both years there. And then he was also eligible after his junior year at Southern Illinois University.
He played in Carbondale?
Yes, he did.
Dwayne Kuiper?
And
Is this something he's talked about on his broadcast
Oh,
that
yeah.
you listened to with Kuko?
He went there because he went south to go play baseball. Because
Where's he from?
He's from a farm in like central Wisconsin.
Oh, he's a Scotty.
Yep. And it was 6th team that finally drafted him. He was like a hot shot prospect. And he was a really nice player. He just could not hit for any power at all. Like, he was a great second baseman.
That's right. And he had a career that went into our era. So he's drafted in 1970, but he played long enough for us to like listen to Harry Carey endlessly bust Steve Stone's balls on the broadcast.
Yeah, he played till the mid-'80s. He played 15 or 16 years.
Yeah, he was a Giant. He played for the Giants when we were around.
So it's Chambliss, John Scott, Dwayne Kuiper, and the number 18th pick, who is more famous for his sister than him, Randy Moffett.
Yes, Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean King's brother. Yeah. And he was a nice pitcher for the Giants. He got hurt, I think.
Yeah. Randy Moffett, Jerry Lavelle.
Then 1977 to 1983. The 1980 batting champion. He led the National League in doubles in 1981, 1983, and he was a 1981 All-Star. He had a great mustache and eyebrows that were just as big as the mustache. Bill Buckner.
Yeah. One of our earliest favorite type players.
Oh, wait, I got to go back for just a second.
Players of our youth.
I didn't give you Pete LeCoq's comps. Jerry Hairston Sr.
Oh, sorry.
Rick Leach and Whitey Herzog. Yeah. You don't want your playing compared to Whitey Herzog. You just don't.
No, I don't think. Not Doral. I think Rick Leach played baseball and football at Michigan.
Yes, he did. Buckner's comps. One really bad, one really good. Steve Garvey, Mark Grace.
Wow, both good. I hear a lot of movement to put Garvey in the Hall of Fame. They're all at that level. The three of those guys.
He can go in posthumously, and he can do it as quick, and he can do it as soon as he wants.
It's an interesting thing with Buckner. I remember, like when we were kids, Buckner was our guy. Fully integrated into first base, and then there'd be a rain delay, and we'd get to watch the '74 World Series with the A's and Dodgers. And it would always be like, what? Bill Buckner played in the world, and he played left field?
He was fast.
Because, of course, he had to cede to Garvey. They didn't like each other, apparently. Good for Bill. Although Bill was known to be a little ornery himself.
He was.
He didn't get along with Kingman either. Kingman was an ass. But, ball players can tend to be asses.
Think about that. So if you're a baseball player and you don't get along with Steve Garvey and Dave Kingman, you seem like a pretty good guy.
I mean,
because those two,
I heard stories.
Who could get along with either one of those pricks?
Right. I've heard stories where Buckner could be a little, bristly too, but whatever. And we loved it. We loved our Billy Buck. One of my most favorite things and we've really more sort of unearthed it ourselves. We always knew he was made great contact. But in having these discussions and going through all these, the teams in the years was just how infrequently he struck out, which in any era I think was pretty damn impressive.
I don't know. In 22 years, he struck out 453 times. Is that a lot? Jesus,
it's like
20 times a year.
Yes, it's two Jose Hernandez.
But this is the other thing we found out. Seasons. So he struck out 453 times. So clearly
he didn't walk a lot.
Clearly he walked more than he struck out, right?
Yeah.
No. 450 walks in 22 years.
Which honestly makes him a great hitter.
Yeah.
He's a great, literally a great hitter because he had, 2,600 hits probably?
He was the Luis Ariz of his day.
No, but you're right. I mean, he probably didn't even have 150.
No, he wasn't because he actually hit for extra base. He didn't hit a lot of homers, but he hit 174
he had some
homers.
Pop, though.
And he hit a lot of doubles. He led the National League in doubles twice. In fact, one year, the year he had the most doubles, he didn't lead the league. He had 46 doubles with the 84 Red Sox. 85 Red Sox.
Interesting, because he was already hobbled, as we all know. He did also have a 200-hit season with the Red Sox. I mean, the Cubs were done with him, but he wasn't done. And I know we could joke about the 86 World Series, and he obviously should not have been on the field at the end of that Game 6, but he was very productive after the Cubs.
And obviously the Cubs traded him.
Got a good quality player for him. Yeah.
The Cubs traded him to get pitching. They had Dennis Eckersley.
Yeah.
And to get a spot for Leon Durham to play. They had moved Durham.
Which they already had because in 84, for the first time since he had arrived, Buckner was riding the bench to start the season. And he didn't get traded till May.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, there were some bleak teams. We've done about it. Kids, if you're new to the show, you can just search for, Blake year Cubs anywhere between 79 and 1980 and 2011. There were some bleak seasons, especially 1980 and 81, and Billy Buckner was one of our only refuge.
He was the Cubs All-Star in 1981. 80, he had 41 doubles, led the league with 324 batting average, 353 on base,
excited.
because that year he walked 30 times and struck out 18. 18 times. Won a batting title. 615 plate appearances, he struck out 18 times. And then next year...
That's not even once a week.
Next year, he struck out 16 times. Good Lord.
That's not even once a week. Or it's barely once a week. It's incredible.
He hit a homer at the first... no, not the first Cub game, because I was busy watching Evandro Jesus hit foul balls out of the park. But one of the first games I went to, he hit a homer, and I took a picture of it as he took it. And it didn't come out because it was, 1980, whatever, and a little... You can kind of tell what's going on, but you can't. But I was so excited.
You took that roll to Walgreens. You couldn't wait till you get it. And then
took a picture, and I knew he hit a homer.
Pinky was in the way.
And you couldn't tell. 1984 to 1987, Leon Bull Durham. His nickname was not the Bull. He was not Greg Luzinski.
That was Greg Luzinski.
It was Bull Durham for the tobacco. It was not Bull Durham. Right. It was not the Bull.
Just Bull. There's no definite article preceding, but just Bull.
He was a two-time All-Star and a Silver Slugger, but he did not win Silver Slugger first base. He won on the outfield.
Nor was he an All-Star first base either. Yeah, both of his All-Star appearances was as an outfielder. Durham was obviously a really good player. Probably might not have. You can say that about a lot of guys, that it's unfair. Might not have fulfilled his full potential. Like, he was a very hot prospect for the Cardinals. He was the centerpiece of the Bruce Sutter trade. He did come up as a first baseman, but the Cubs had nowhere to put him because of Buckner. And so, I think one year, statistically, he was the primary center fielder in either 80, 81 or 82 or 83, one of those 3 years. And yeah, he was an All-Star 2 of his first 3 years as a Cub as an outfielder. And then opening day 84, he's playing first, and that's where he'd stay till Mark Grace came along. But yeah, good hitter, great, beautiful swing. Had a really cool look. Part of the reason he was my all-time favorite player as a kid. Just like he had glasses, but it wasn't like an Urkel thing. Like he was just a cool looking dude. And he was a solid, smooth player. Good athlete.
He was a first-round draft pick of the Cardinals in 1976. He was the 15th pick. The Cubs had the 7th pick. And they took, you can't blame them for this, they took future Hall of Famer Herman Segelke. Herman was a right-handed pitcher out of El Camino High School, and Herman pitched in 3 games in the big leagues, and
he made it up.
In 8.31 ERA.
That would be. I wonder if that was like the brief period where the concessions guy.
Actually, I know why they took him, because the guy they really wanted went 1 pick before, and maybe this is why I hated him my whole life. Kenny Landreau went 1 pick before to the Angels.
You fucking hate Kenny Landreau. The S at the end of his name.
What are you going to the Angels for? You're supposed to stick around. Other notables in that first round would be Floyd Bannister, was the first overall pick of the Astros. Bob Ochinko was the 5th pick of the Padres. Kenny Landreau to the Angels. Steve Trout went 1 pick after Herman Segelke to the White Sox. Cubs wouldn't have had to trade for him. Could have just picked him. And the guy who got picked right after Leon Durham was Pat Tabler to the Yankees.
Wow. Pat Tabler went all the way back to 76?
Mike Scioscia was the 19th overall pick of the Dodgers, and Bruce Hurst was the Red Sox 22nd pick.
Huh. Bruce Hurst, you said?
Bruce Hurst, yep.
Yeah, also should have been the 86 MVP if things didn't go sideways to Billy Buckner at first.
And Calvin Schiraldi.
86.
Calvin Schiraldi and Bob Stanley certainly helped.
Yeah, no, it was Buckner's fault.
Leon Durham was replaced in 1988, actually in 87, but from 88 to 2000, the primary Cub first baseman was a strapping young lad named Mark Grace. And this is great. Now, do you know who Mark Grace's favorite player was? The guy he emulated his entire game.
Keith Hernandez, I believe.
Mark Grace's number 1 comp is Keith Hernandez. Think about that.
We hated Hernandez because he was a Cardinal and a Met. We didn't really care about the Cardinals, but the Met. And also, whenever you have like a player at the same position, I've talked about this with like football with Walter Payton. I was always like, I had to hate Billy Sims and Tony Dorsett. Anybody would come close to challenging Peyton's supremacy was out in my book. I just lost my train of thought because the baseball player we're just talking about.
But you hated Keith Hernandez?
Yes, because of Billy Buckner, actually. Yeah. Because, Buckner, Hernandez won the MVP in 1979. I think he split it with Willie Stargell. Buckner won the batting crown in 80. So they were division opponents. So I always saw Hernandez as a threat to Buckner's excellence. And, they were very equal players. But then I always found it funny because Grace grew up in Arkansas. So he'd, fucking listen to KMOX. Yeah. So he was a Carlos fan, I think. But yeah, he was a huge fan of Keith Hernandez. Both fans, big fans, longtime cancer dart smokers. Yep. A lot of similarities between the two of them.
He wore 17 because that's the number Keith took when he went to the...
But not when he got called up.
When he went to the Mets.
You know this.
Number 28.
I forget his number when he got...
Good old number 28.
I always thought it was 53.
I love the fact it was because it was in San Diego and the Cubs only had one extra. They would take just one extra jersey in case somebody needed one.
And I will say
this
that
was 1988, guys. It was not 1942.
I know.
You should have been able to bring more jerseys than that. Or how about this? How about sewing some fucking numbers on the thing? Of course, they probably were ironed on back then. Yosh couldn't find the hotel didn't have an ironing board, so Grace had to wear 28 instead for a game.
I'm very much on record as being a huge Leon Durham fan. However, and not to just cast him aside, but I was very excited. I think, the writing was on the wall for Durham. He was starting to drop off after 86. And he was, he had his issues that came to light later, but for whatever reason, I was very excited about Grace because we talked about this with the previous year in 87. He and Dwight Smith were teammates at Pittsfield in AA, and they were 1-2 in batting.
Yep.
This was, of course, the time that's coinciding with Dallas Green's farm system starting to now consistently churn out some talent. And so, reading the sporting news every week and reading the minor league stats, I was very excited about Mark Grace. He would not have projected to be a great player. He was a low-round draft pick, but he basically was everything I would have hoped for when he was coming up, and probably exceeded it. He had, obviously a really nice career. He was one of the better things to look forward to for a long time for the Cubs.
He was a 24th round pick of the Cubs out of San Diego State. He went to Saddleback College in Mission Viejo, and how about this? He was a 15th round pick of the Twins that didn't sign, and then he was a 24th round pick of the Cubs.
It went down.
Savvy.
Well, with the college, he probably there might have been plenty of reason for Mark Grace to maybe fall off course when he was.
But there was that whole. Then the Cubs, Jim Fry had to decide who are you going to keep. You're going to keep Mark Grace, going to keep Rafael Palmeiro. God forbid, maybe keep them both would have been good, but maybe other factors.
That's right.
Just think,
an all-star.
Just think, if Cindy Sandberg had been fat, Rafael Palmeiro would have stayed with the Cubs because Grace would have been Grace, if he got in a slump, Grace would have been all over that, and then would have changed history.
And that's Mark Grace arrives the year in which Palmeiro makes the All-Star team as an outfielder. So, yeah, what could have been, we've lamented it over and over again. Kind of a ship's passing in the night. They were teammates. We would have been just as fine if Palmeiro was the first baseman. Grace was a better first baseman. I know Palmeiro won some phony baloney Gold Gloves. He was obviously good enough to get the reputation, but
he was good. He won one phony baloney one. Palmeiro was a good first baseman, but he won the one the year he barely played. But that was just lazy reputation.
It kind of made him the poster boy for why judging people by their Gold Gloves is tricky because it is entirely subjective. So. But Grace was an excellent first baseman. We should point that out. We saw Buckner play and Durham play. They were also both excellent first basemen. Grace was better than both of them, I think, at his peak. And he was a really good hitter. You already said the comp is Hernandez. He felt a little bit like Buckner, though.
His eighth comp, his first comp is Keith Hernandez. His eighth is Bill Buckner.
Yeah, it tracks. He never drove in 100 runs. A couple of years he had 97, 98. I don't think he ever hit 20 homers, but like Buckner, he definitely, could hit the ball off the wall or in the corners hard. Fun player, man. I was like Mark Grace.
He struck out 642 times in 16 years.
Yeah.
And he walked,
It's Buckner.
unlike Buckner, he walked 1,075 times.
He had a great eye. Yeah.
He had a 383 career on base average. 383.
That's good, man. A really good player. I think it's becoming apparent. Go ahead.
I would say he was second in Rookie of the Year voting. Who won it that year? 1988.
Oh, Chris Sabo.
The great Chris Sabo with his stupid glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, and the All-Star game being in Cincinnati that year and all that other bullshit. Grace had a better career than Sabo.
In his second year, the Cubs went to the playoffs. And Mark
He lit it up.
Struggled in the playoffs. He only hit in 5 games, 17 at-bats, 22 plate appearances. He only hit .647 with a .682 on base and a 1.118 slug for a 1.799 OPS. 19 total bases in 17 at-bats. He had 11 hits, 3 doubles, a triple, a homer, 8 RBIs. He stole a base. He walked 4 times, but he struck out once. And he did not have the best series by a first baseman in that series.
Correct. He went toe-to-toe with Will the Thrill.
I gotta look.
It's fun to think back. It was painful, that series. We've rehashed it. It was a frustrating series, not heartbreaking like '84. It was more frustrating because there were some games in the middle that they could have won. Some guys stepped up, some didn't. Grace forever landed himself in our hearts just for that performance alone. He went toe-to-toe with Will Clark.
Will Clark in that series, 650, 682, 1,200, 1882, 3 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 8 RBIs. But he struck out twice. So,
twice as many times. Yeah. I always point out, too, that the intersection of Clark and Grace is literally not even 2 blocks northwest of Wrigley Field. I joke that it was renamed in honor of the '89 first baseman, the '89 LCS first baseman.
Let's see. Mark Gray. Oh, he did his comps. Yeah, 3-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove winner. Prestigious honors. Most hits in the 1990s. Most doubles in the 1990s. He led the league. This is pretty impressive, though. In 1995, he led the National League with 51 doubles. That was a short season. They only played 144 games. He played 143. 50. He was going to hit 60 doubles.
I think 93 and 95 were his 2 greatest seasons with the Cubs. He did it. If you watch it, if you look at his stats, I have it in my head, but he came on the scene, runner-up Rookie of the Year, 89 solid season, and then 90, 91, 92, he kind of fell off a little bit. I think it was a combination of, he got married young. We went over it. He and Jeff Pico both married, not nuns, but sisters from Peoria when they came through. So he had a young wife who I think kind of used him as a stepping stone. I'm not sure where Michelle Leota would have worked out. What do you think Ray Liotta?
How come Ray didn't go after Pico, go after his sister? How come he didn't go after Pico's wife?
Right. Because she was probably living in poverty when Pico's money ran out. Because he didn't last quite as long. I did sometimes wonder, this is a stupid thing, but you've got the consistent salary of a baseball player and endorsements and what Mark Grace does as a broadcaster compared to what Ray Liotta would have gotten from Goodfellas, different movies. You add it all up, if you're looking at it from a financial perspective, from Michelle Grace / Michelle Leota's perspective, if that was the goal, I'm not saying it was, but was she better off with Ray Liotta? I mean, he's dead now.
He's dead. But of course, he also never had to spend time in Joe Arpaio's tent prison in the desert like Mark did.
Yeah, one of the things I wonder about. But in those years, Grace's numbers dropped off. He was getting divorced. Because I remember in the Score had just launched in '92, and Grace, I think there was I heard about this a while ago where Brian Hanley had written an article, a note where Mark Grace was walking around spring training in Mesa trying to get everybody to boycott the Score because I think it was Hanley had suggested he's kind of, trying to be sympathetic. I think maybe it was to say, hey, he's struggling because he's, going through this and maybe out at the bar, whatever. But it's just funny to think of. His numbers did drop off, but he completely bounced back 93, 94, 95, and Yeah, he's in that conversation. He had a really nice career.
So I just wondered. So I looked. Remember, 95 was the September that they wouldn't lose. They kept.
Yeah, they
This
almost
is
snuck
Mark
into the
Mark
playoffs.
Grace's September of 1995. He hit 362, 419, 526 with a 944 OPS. He had 8 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, 16 RBIs, walked 12 times, struck out 12 times. That was actually wasn't his best month. His best month was June. 352, 403, 639.
Yeah.
1042. He had a great
He was clutch.
He was a 5-WAR player, and that's the most he ever was.
He finally made it back to the playoffs in 98. So I think that would make him, yeah. So
98
yeah, he
was 17 homers, 89 RBI. Hitting right after in front of Sammy. So he probably got a few fastballs.
He tailed off in 2000. That's when the Cubs cut bait, and then he had a nice little like a dead cat bounce in 01, which culminated with him starting the extra inning or the 9th inning rally off of Mariano Rivera.
But even his 2000, so his last year with the Cubs, 280, 394, 429, 11 homers, 82 RBIs.
Yeah.
And they had no plan to replace him, as we're about to find out. So it's not like
correct.
It's not like you had, Hesop wasn't knocking down the door yet. You didn't.
Yeah.
And he was always willing. He kept going year to year with them, and he wanted to do. He was willing to do it again. And Andy McPhail's finally like, I'm tired of that deals.
Well, and it's funny now. We're at a point now where for us, if you're you realize that in our lifetime we start with Buckner, like first base at this point now, where we're approaching 30 and we've been Cub fans our whole life. That is a position especially comparative to other positions, of enormous stability. And after Grace leaves for the first time, we're thrown into a little bit of instability
for
at the position
for 24 seasons. The first baseman was either Bill Buckner, Leon Durham, or Mark Grace. There was nobody else.
Yeah, that's almost 8 seasons on average. So that's So for all the bitching and moaning we've rightfully, justifiably have had, the lack of talent in center and third base, whatever. First base, we were fortunate. We always could count on some extreme competence at first.
2001, the primary first baseman was Matt Stairs.
Yep.
His comps: Danny Tartabull, Pat Burrell, and number 8, Cliff Floyd. So there's that.
Future Cub at this point.
Stairs was a nice player. He just shouldn't have been anybody's everyday first baseman. And I don't know who.
And he hardly ever even played it. It was almost like a Scott Hatterberg preview, because he was a DH outfielder, right? It's like, all right, well, we just put this Canadian softball looking dude at first base, and he was fine, I guess. He was certainly better defensively than the guy that replaced him.
Now, I believe the plan, and this is a brilliant plan, was first base was going to be a timeshare, if not a straight out platoon, of Matt Stairs and the great Ron Coomer. And unfortunately, when Bill Miller crashed into the tarp in St. Louis and broke his kneecap, Coomer had to take over and be the everyday third baseman, which meant Stairs played first base all the time. But honestly, it wouldn't have been better because Coomer wasn't any good. I mean, Coomer that year, 261, 316, 390, 8 homers, 53 RBIs. He was, he was just a guy. But that whole team, they were in first place for most of the season. And it was the most ragtag. I mean, we thought 98 was a ragtag bunch.
It was, though. It was because it was Sammy, right? Like,
it was, your catchers
Sammy
were
had like 80 more.
Your catchers were Joe Girardi and Todd Hundley.
Yeah. No, I think and also was the first team in our lifetime that legitimately was in contention and then just failed to close the deal. It was the first thing that we saw fade, which isn't quite what you think it is. It basically just means that we had so few seasons in which the Cubs were competitive. But up until 2001, the 3 times in which they were, 84, 89, and 98, they closed the deal. 95 was an aberration because of other factors. But 2001, it was like, oh, shit, it's Labor Day. We're alive here. We can go. And they did. And in a retrospect, it was like it's almost like the 2001 Bears. It was a little bit of a mirage and not much different from the 98 Cubs, I guess. Sammy was at the peak of his powers, and that was the offense.
Now, I will give the Cubs credit. They did try to upgrade first base.
Yeah.
At the deadline, they worked out a
In
deal
vain.
with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, still at the time. They got Fred McGriff. Fred had a no trade, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to come or not. And we had dragged on for a full week before he finally deigned to come over.
To grace us with his presence.
When he showed up, let's see, I think I can find the game right here where
It was a Sunday night game against St. Louis.
Well, I was just going to say, when he first showed up, his first 33 games with the Cubs, this is the guy we're finally going to give some offense, right?
Yeah.
He had 270 with 384 on base and a 443 slug. That's pretty good, right? 2 homers, 4 RBIs. He drove in 4 runs in the first 33 fucking games that he came and played for the Cubs.
Wow.
And the thing that really made me mad then, I got to resort this so I can show you what I have. So the Cubs fall out of it. Even the break around September 11th wasn't enough to save them because they had fallen out of the.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, "Oh, this is horrible," but well, maybe the Cubs need a break. So they basically are done. And then Fred says, "All right, time to go." His last 23 games,
8 homers,
9 homers, 24 RBIs, 299, 402, 714 slug. So when you look at his numbers in 01 with the Cubs, you're like, "Oh, that was a great deal. Look at that guy." His overall numbers were with the Cubs 282, 383, 559, 942 OPS. Yeah. That's exactly what you want. But when they needed him, he didn't do shit.
Yes.
And then as soon as it was over, then he started to hit.
Yes. And the exact same thing happened the next year when he started the season with the team.
Yep.
He and Lou Lou because he just pulled his hamstring by standing in the outfield
on opening day
because he was so out of shape. But so that's why he didn't contribute. He never contributed the whole year. And then McGriff did nothing in April and May. And so again, that team was horrible. They were buried. They had no hopes after the middle of June. And then same thing though. In the last few months, he pulled his numbers up, and I mean, I know sometimes people will unfairly and inaccurately call somebody out for only hitting when it counts. I feel like in Fred McGriff's Cubs career, that was, or only hitting when it doesn't count.
Because if you look, his 2002 stats by the end of the year, 30 homers, 103 RBIs, 273, 353, 505. And you're like, oh yeah.
Wow.
That's a great year. Yeah, fuck him. He went to the Dodgers where he replaced Eric Karros in 2003. And then he finished up, went back to his beloved Tampa for one more year. And that was it.
Yeah, fuck him.
Fred McGriff's comps: Willie McCovey, Willie Stargell, Paul Konerko, Frank Thomas, Billy Williams.
Yeah. I'm willing to say, without question, the worst defensive first baseman I've ever seen. He was terrible.
Well, but I don't know what the fuck Tom Amansky was teaching him, but it wasn't the right stuff. He wasn't part of the back-to-back AAU champions. I'll tell you that.
Right. He's like, somehow if you close your glove before the ball gets there, which honestly is something like you wouldn't expect to see beyond 9U. He did it. Fred McGriff did that once in the game. Actually closed his glove before the ball got there. Incredible.
Primary third baseman in 2003, mostly because one guy hit his head on the foul line and gave himself a season-ending concussion. Was Eric Karros.
At the risk of embarrassing you with flattery, I've finished reading your book, Fun Until It Wasn't.
Well, it's great until it wasn't.
Fun until it wasn't, or could it was great until it wasn't.
Yep, that's fine.
Your book chronicling the rise and fall of the 2003-2004 Cubs, and I very much enjoyed revisiting the angst that Eric Karros kind of provided when he arrived, because we were kind of convinced he was a little bit washed up, and the fear that Dusty, who already had a bit of a reputation coming in for favoring veteran players, would subjugate our beloved prospect Aesop, and he did, but kind of it worked out because Karros actually had a great year in 03. Aesop got hurt and just wasn't that effective, and Eric Karros obviously will always have a pretty special place.
I mean, if he had done nothing other than in the game where Kerry and Aesop crashed into each other, and
I was at that game.
Ambulance on the field, And
Yeah,
Roger
all
Clemens
kinds of
going
crazy
for
shit.
300. Karros comes in, hits the home run off Juan Acevedo to rob
Roger
Roger
Clemens
of the
going
win.
for 300, right, vis-a-vis Kerry Wood, who, was kind of at his peak, and there were serious generational comps between it had so much of everything. I was fortunate to be in this, obviously one of the most memorable games I've had the privilege to be in attendance to. And you're right, like even like in the ambulance being on the field, that's some crazy whacked out shit. You never saw it.
The best part is when I rewatched it for to do the footnotes for the book. I rewatched that game.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's another one of those instances where all these things happen in one game. This one made sense because how many times did Roger Clemens face the Cubs as a Yankee? Once, I think, ever. And so, but they do the interview. Kevin Kennedy goes in the stands to interview Debbie Clemens and Cody, his son. And
go Yankees!
And he asks Debbie a question, and then he asks Cody a question. And Cody is so nervous. He's a little kid. He just stares at the camera and he goes, "Go Yankees!" And we've made fun of Cody for 30 years for that. Or I guess 22 years
he's
now.
A big leaguer. Yeah.
Go Yankees. It's the dumbest looking kid you ever saw.
That's all he could utter. But yeah, Karros, he was the 92 National League Rookie of the Year for the Dodgers when they were having another string of Rookies of the Year. It was Karros, Piazza, Ryan Mondesi, Hideo Nomo, Todd Hollingsworth. It's a fine player. He was kind of pushed out for Paul Konerko, and then the Dodgers got rid of Konerko to Cincinnati. I'm not sure how it all. Konerko was supposed to replace Karros, and the Dodgers gave up on Konerko, but eventually they did cut bait with Konerko or with Karros, and he's kind of a big part of that 2003 Cubs team.
I don't remember one Konerko hurt his hip. He was a catcher. And he hurt his hip and he couldn't catch anymore. And I don't know if that's why the Reds traded him to the White Sox or that's why the Dodgers traded him to the Reds. Because neither of them thought he got traded. The Dodgers traded him in July of 98 to get Jeff Shaw to be their closer.
Ooh. Yeah.
And then
decent closer.
In 98. And then later that winter,
Mike Cameron.
The Reds traded him to the White Sox for Mike Cameron.
Yeah. Who later got traded in the Ken Griffey deal and then hit 4 homers in a game against the White Sox. Mike Cameron did.
One of the things Karros is famous for as a Cub and someday, maybe when he dies, maybe these will be released.
The video?
He videotaped everything. He had a video camera like in the clubhouse and on the bench.
They would show him sometimes in the dugout.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
He's got all kinds of footage that no one has ever seen, and it would be fascinating.
I always kind of felt bad for him that the Cubs didn't win the pennant because that would have probably really set him up.
I mean, it had to be why he was doing it, right? He wasn't just doing it for shits and giggles.
No, because he was at the he was at the end of his career, man. Yeah, he was thinking side hustles, post-retirement gigs, whatever.
There was another notable first baseman on those 03 Cubs, however.
Oh, yes.
And he's famous for lots of reasons. Earlier in that season, when he was playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, he got arrested, the most ridiculous thing ever, for lightly hitting one of the racing sausages in the head with a bat while he was leaning over the railing in Pittsburgh. And the kid fell down, and the Brewers had him arrested. And I obviously can't embed it in the book, but on the post for it, I had a video of the Milwaukee newscast from that night. And you would have thought Randall Simon had murdered that kid.
Breathlessly reporting, yes. Right.
And the best part was in the thing, they're interviewing one of the other college students who was racing in it. And they're like, well, we get to the point where the Brat was supposed to pull ahead. And I was like, wait a minute. Are you telling me that these are fixed? These are choreographed races?
Does DraftKings know
I've been
about
betting
this?
on these all my life when I go to Brewer games, and you guys have predetermined the winner.
Yeah.
He also is famous for John Rocker calling him a fat monkey in his racist rant that got John thrown out of baseball.
A couple years earlier, I believe, about 2 or 3 years earlier.
But that was Randall Simon. And it's funny, when the Cubs first get Aramis Ramirez, who's Randall's teammate with the Pirates, and there's all this angst about Aramis' defense. One of the reasons, supposedly, the Pirates gave up on him, although the real reason was they didn't want to pay him. Because he had a great year the year before, and he was hurt and had a bad year for them.
He turned out to be a great third baseman. Yeah.
There was this whole thing about, he makes a lot of errors, and I, the genius, immediately attributed to the fact that Randall Simon was his first baseman, and then the Cubs immediately went out and got Randall Simon to be his first baseman. It was fine. Randall with the Cubs, he showed up in August, I think. It was a post-waiver thing when they got him. Because he got released by the Pirates. 282, 318, 485. He had 6 homers, driven 21 runs in 33 games. In the playoffs, he hit 333 with a 333 on base and a 583 slug. He hit one of the biggest Cubs postseason home runs of all time in Game 3.
In Game 3. 8th inning.
Carey had blown the lead,
yes.
and everyone was like, "Oh God, this was the Cubs. They never come back."
It's gonna happen again. Yeah,
and
the wildest game.
Randall hit a fucking bomb, a 2-run homer to put him back on top.
A 2-run lead changing homer. The Cubs went down a run, up a run.
That's right.
The game they eventually won.
He had a homer and 6 RBIs and 24 bats, and he was a very fun. He's just a fun guy.
That's a good call. We actually had a triumvirate. Hesop turned out to be the least celebrated that season. Randall and Karros carried them into the playoffs, and but it was we're still patching it together. Hesop's our first baseman of the future, right, Andy?
Yep. No need to go.
He's going to come back healthy.
No need to. You don't need to mess with first base for a decade. And then Jim Hendry's like, "Fuck this. We should have gone to the fucking World Series and we didn't. So we're pulling out all the stops." And he traded Hesop to the Marlins for the guy who drove in had the biggest hit in that 8th inning, Derrek Lee.
The go ahead runs. Yeah. I mentioned this in this group text, but I remember this, and I'm willing to own up to it that my prospect perversion was so deep that when I first heard rumors that Hesop had been traded for Derrek, I think I texted Oleg and we were both in agreement. I don't like this. Boy, are we wrong. You, to your credit, were all over it. The thing is, Derrek Lee really struggled early in his career. He came up the same year as Travis Lee. Remember Travis Lee, the Diamondbacks? Smooth left-handed hitter. And Travis actually got off to a nice start. And I remember thinking, Travis Lee's really good. He's the player. And Derrek Lee struggled. But of course, he was rushed to the majors because the 97 Marlins disbanded and they just basically got rid of all those, Moises Alou and Gary Sheffield. And so they rushed a bunch of guys that weren't ready and they struggled for a while, 98, 99, 2000. But of course, when they make it back in 2003, Lee was just then starting to develop. And then he had the big, he was being pinned down by the Cubs in that series, but he had the big hit there.
They were pitching around. He was hitting behind Miguel Cabrera. So the Cubs were pitching around Cabrera and getting Lee out until they didn't.
Yeah, Cabrera's a 20-year-old. Yes. And then, he had big hits in Game 6 and Game 7, I believe. But I was still skeptical. Shows you what I know.
So Derrek was a first-round pick of the Padres, and he got traded. He got acquired by the Marlins during the big sell-off after the 97 World Series.
That's when it was.
And December 15th, 1997, him and Steve Hoff and Rafael Medina were traded to the Marlins for Kevin Brown.
Okay.
And he was okay as a rookie.
Brown ended up.
He'd been okay with a rookie with the Padres. Let's see. 259, 365, 370 in limited action. And he struggled.
In 97.
In 97 with the Padres. 98 with the Marlins, he struggled. 233, 318, 414. He was even worse in 99. Yeah. And then by 2000 he was good. 28 homers, 70 RBIs. The biggest problem, he had a lot of doubles, 37, 35, 31. And then so that year, the World Series year for the Marlins, he hit 271, 379, 508 with 31 homers, 92 RBIs. Yeah. He won the Gold Glove.
I was a moron.
So I don't know what you and Oleg were bitching about.
I don't know what the fuck we were smoking.
And then there was that promise that if you get him out of the football stadium, that he hit for even more power.
Yep.
And it didn't happen. He had a really nice year in 2004 for the Cubs, for that ill-fated bunch. 32 homers, 98 RBIs. He got off to a terrible start. And that only fed it. Hesop was off to a nice start with the Marlins. Derrek was struggling. There was still some resentment because he was a Marlin. We picked up a bunch. We had him. Yeah. We had Hollinsworth. We had Len Casper. Yeah. No, we didn't get Len. Len was another year away. We didn't have Len yet.
No.
But I remember didn't we have a third, and then they got their rings on the field. You remember that?
Oh, God. No, that's quite an insult, though. I'll just think about that.
Either they got him on the field or they got him and then GN showed him. I remember thanks for that. I'm sure Chip wanted to do that. And then in 2005, Derrek went off.
He went off.
He led the league in hits with 199 and doubles with 50. He hit 46 homers. He drove in 107 runs. He won the batting title with a 335 batting average. He led the league in slugging, OPS plus. He was an all-star. He won his second Gold Glove. He won the Silver Slugger, which is no small feat because the MVP played his position, Albert Pujols. He finished third. And amazing. He finished third. I mean, I always assumed he finished second.
Who finished second? Beltran?
Andrew Jones, who hit 51 homers and 128 RBIs. By WAR, Lee was 7.7. Jones was only 6.7, but Pujols 8.4. Pujols, so Derrek 335, 46 homers, 107 RBIs. Pujols 330, 41 homers, 117 RBIs. They basically had the same season. Shouldn't you give it to the guy who wins the batting title? Yeah, you should have. And he hit more homers. But let's see, did the Cardinals won 104 games, I think?
Well, this was 05, though.
Oh, 05.
Right? Oh, they may have. Yeah, 04, they also
right.
won 100 games. That was the team that won the division. The Cubs choked away the wild card. But 05, yeah, I mean,
right.
Houston went to the series in 05. That was a year Albert hit that homer off of Brad Lidge, and everyone likes to think broke Lidge, except for the fact that Houston won the series and Lidge closed out the Phillies series in 08. But, yeah.
I just remember that home run.
That's bullshit.
That home run was a fucking bomb.
It was incredible. It was hilarious. The schadenfreude at the Houston fans was great because they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the World Series, and now we're gonna have to play another game." They still won it. Priceless. But yeah, well, that's bullshit. Fucking, I mean, that Pujols got the MVP that year.
Lee was only an All-Star twice with the Cubs. I would have thought it was more than that. He won 3 Gold Gloves.
That's amazing.
He only won the 1 Silver Slugger. He was a very good player, and he was a great.
Yes.
He was yet another great defensive first baseman for the Cubs.
Correct. The first one in our experience that was right-handed.
Yeah.
Because Buckner, Durham, and Grace were all lefties. But Derrek Lee proved to be equally adept defensively.
His last big year for the Cubs was 09, 35 homers, 111 RBIs. He got traded. Oh, he got traded to the Braves. I always thought he ended up with the Pirates. I always thought he got traded to the Pirates. He got traded to the Braves.
He did end up with the Pirates, but the Cubs traded him at the deadline.
In a great trade, though. I mean, you can't blame the Cubs for this. They got Tyrell Harris, Robinson Lopez, and Jeff Lorick. And those guys...
Sorry, who?
Yeah, they formed the core of the 2016 World Series team. So, good job, Jim Henry. He left there. He signed with the Orioles for the 2011 season, and at the deadline in 11, he got traded to the Pirates for Aaron Baker. Imagine there was a time when the Pirates were trading 4 guys at the deadline because they were, they were frisky.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, they were getting good again. That's what you're saying, right? That was that mini renaissance that the Pirates had.
Derrek leaves.
They were still 72 and 90 that year, but they were just about to make a jump.
Derrek leaves, and the Mike Quaddy Cubs need a first baseman.
Carlos, right?
And they get Carlos Pena, a guy who had a nice career. And he was exactly what the Cubs thought they were getting. He was a great defensive first baseman, another in a long line for the Cubs. And he was going to have a shitty batting average, and he was going to hit some homers and get on base, and he did. In 2011, in 153 games, he hit 225 with a 357 on base. Like, batting average doesn't matter when you have a 357 on base. You're not making outs. And a 462 slug, 28 homers, 80 RBIs. He struck out 101 times. 100. Wow. He struck out 161
That's better
times.
than I remember.
And he walked 101 times. He was a nice player. And they should have traded him at the deadline because they didn't. Because why would you?
They did.
They were so good that year. How could you possibly part with him? And then he was gone. Where did he go? He left and went back to the Rays? He did. And the Cubs would get...
Carlos did.
Cubs would eventually... First, of course, they would have Brian LaHair at first base. All-star first baseman.
All-star.
Brian
Just
LaHair.
like with Ron Coomer. That's an all-star to you, mister.
Former Cub and all-star. Actually Pat wouldn't even, they should hire Brian LaHare because they wouldn't have to do he wouldn't have to do the gymnastics.
Because
He could just say former
Yes.
Cub All-Star.
Former Cub All-Star.
Brian LaHare.
Mhm.
One of the most interesting careers ever. He played 3 seasons. He was worth a total of negative .2 WAR. And he was an all-star in his last season in the big leagues. At 29 years old, Brian LaHare, let's see. Let me look at his splits.
You can't quite get a profile like that for any other player, I feel like.
He looks a little bit like the really tall Pete Davidson, too. So he's got that going for him.
Okay.
In his first half for the Cubs, you have to pick somebody to be every team has to have one all-star. I think the 12 Cubs had 2. I think Starlin went 2. I think they had 2 Cubs. A terrible team had 2 all-stars.
Wow.
286, 364, 519, 14 homers, 30 RBIs. But nobody's getting on base. It's the Cubs. They're terrible. 883 OPS. I think even before the All-Star break, he had already lost his first base job. Anthony Rizzo had come up, and LaHare went to the outfield.
I think you had a great line in a tweet around that. It said Anthony Rizzo is just picked up his phone in a Chicago apartment to see that his backup is playing in the All-Star game or something like that. Because I forget what it was, but yeah, it was like right at that point where Rizzo was getting called up, which was a very heralded thing too.
Brian LaHare, second half, 202, 269, 303. A homer, no, 2 homers, 10 RBIs. But as either Oleg or Perez pointed out, and the all-important final game of the season in the 2012 probably cost him.
The all-important.
It probably cost him the first overall pick. Who'd they take in 13, though?
What year?
Javi?
In 2012?
2012, on the final day.
2013 was Bryant.
No, it worked out. That's probably why.
14 was.
It's why they had to get lucky and have the Astros take Mark Appel, because Brian LaHare wouldn't let him lose in the season finale against the Astros. So the final game he ever played, his final at bat, facing the great Hector Ambriz with the Cubs and Astros tied at 4. Brian LaHare single to right field. Darwin Barney scores. Tony Campana to third. Starlin Castro to second. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win.
And that's his last major league at bat.
And I think he also homered in the second inning. So that was his last. Did he play in Japan?
Went out on a high note.
He had to have gone somewhere, right? Did he just quit playing? I got to get a real job. Oh yeah, he went to Japan, where he played until.
Did he play as long as Fukudome?
He played for the SoftBank Hawks.
How many years?
1.5. He didn't play very well. 233, 6, 428. They only can have 2 on the team. They're not going to put up with that for very long. Then he came back. He signed with the Indians, played in Columbus and Akron, then bounced around the Mexican League, played in 2 independent leagues, and retired at 34.
But he never beat it back. Get shut.
No. But he'll always have an All-Star game appearance. Did he play in the All-Star game? Well, we got to see. They better have.
I think so.
Let's see here. Where was it at? He got to go to Kauffman Stadium.
Classic.
Dun, dun, dun. Ryan Vibru. There he is. He got an at bat. Pinch hit for David Freese. How'd he do? And here replaces David Freese playing first base. The great future Cub Fernando Rodney got him to ground out to shortstop.
Did Rodney shoot his arrow into the sun when he got the out? Good.
Yeah, and Starlin Castro was also an All-Star. So that team had 2 All-Stars.
That's remarkable to me, because It suggests that Lahire was not the pity selection.
Excuse me.
He earned it on merit.
I mean, I don't know if there were injuries or whatever, and he was a late replacement, but he's on the team. He was a 39th round draft pick of the Seattle Mariners. That's pretty incredible to be a 39th round draft pick and play a day in the big leagues, much less be an all-star. So good for him.
Beats Mark Grace. Yeah, good for him.
But I suppose we ought to talk more about the guy who actually played. You may have heard of him.
Big Tony.
He's a 3-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove winner. He won a Silver Slugger. He won the Platinum Glove for the best fielder at any position, and he won the prestigious. By contract, you have to say the prestigious Roberto Clemente Award. His comps include number 1, Eric Karros. How about that?
Wow.
Number 7, Jeremy Burnitz, and his comps by age from age 29 to age 31. Anthony Rizzo's number 1 comp is Derrek Lee.
Okay.
And he is Anthony Rizzo.
Wow.
And he still is running around with a ball in his back pocket, I think. Now, I guess he gave it back to Tom Ricketts, finally.
Just like Konerko did to Jerry Ransdorf.
NBC Sports, Anthony Rizzo. Did you know that?
Oh, he not Marquee?
No.
He got a job.
He's going to... Their pre- and post-game show is going to be Clayton Kershaw, Joey Votto, and Anthony Rizzo.
Oh, he's national.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's not...
See what winning a World Series for the Cubs does for you? Good for Tony. He'll be around with the Cubs, now that he's the
I would guess he'll pop up. I would guess he'll pop up on Marquee from time to time.
Yes. He's the first preeminent 2016 Cub to no longer be playing. And was he already inducted? Is that the thing?
No, he's got to be out for 5 years before he can get into the prestigious utility
such a silly rule.
Oh, and they vote. They have a vote, and you got to get 80%. You got to get 80% of the votes. It's all bullshit. Just
like why drag it out?
Honestly, you should be putting 10 guys a year in that fucking thing. Just make it a...
No, I agree with you.
Antony hit 30 or more homers 5 times in the big leagues, 4 times for the Cubs. He also did it once for the Yankees.
Okay. Yeah.
In 2015, 31 homers, 101 RBIs. In 2016, 32 homers, 109 RBIs. In 2017, 32 homers, 109 RBIs. In 2018, 25 homers, 101 RBIs. He finished 4th in the MVP voting in 2016. Who won it that year? I don't remember. Oh, that's right. Chris Bryant won it. He finished 4th in the MVP voting in 2015. Actually, I don't know who won that in 2015.
Wow, a 2015 MVP. Who would have been?
It was Washington National right fielder
Bryce Harper.
Paul Goldschmidt was 2nd, and Joey Votto was 3rd. Andrew McCutchen and Jake Arrieta were 5th and 6th. Chris Bryant was 11th. rookie third baseman Chris Bryant was 11th.
Trying to pull a Fred Lynn.
Jason Hayward was 15th. He was a 7-win player for those 15 Cardinals.
In 2015, Jesus Christ.
With a flashing red 439 slug. It was basically said unsustainable. He does not hit the ball hard enough ever. Don't pay him $25 million a year.
Do you wonder if Theo looks at that and he's like, why did I not why did I delude myself into looking past that? You know what I mean? Like,
they thought
they obviously I know
they gave him a contract with an opt-out after 3 years and thought it was a 3-year contract because they're like, oh, he's not he's going to suck and be here for all 6, and he was.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, the boy genius. Get out over his skis. He's a great executive, one of the greatest of all time.
No,
but when you keep nailing it all the time, you start to think everything I touch is gold. I can do this. This will work.
That's right.
And
I mean, and obviously, in my book, the Hayward signing was not nearly as bad of an overall kind of operational failure as the inability to develop pitchers. I think that was their ultimate downfall.
No, that was the whole plan.
That was supposed to be the plan.
The problem with Hayward wasn't the contract. It's fine. It's like the old.
The Ricketts wouldn't let him correct it.
Yes, it's the old Andrew Friedman line. If you act rationally on every free agent, you'll finish 3rd on every free agent. you every once in a while you have to just go. You take a shot, and if you get it wrong, you have to be able to convince your boss that okay, we need another right. I know we did this, but we need a new right fielder, and the Cubs wouldn't do it.
Something changed, and Theo and Jen were forced to wear it.
They won a World Series, and the Ricketts were like, "Fuck, we don't have to spend that money anymore. Here's your budget. Right. Go nuts, genius."
They were lucky to get Darvish.
We hired your Hall of Fame brain to save us money now, so go do it.
They only got Darvish because like a probably colluded market drove his price down, but then after that and by the time they traded Darvish, it was obvious that. So,
I was looking 2019 Anthony Rizzo, 293, 405, 520, 27 homers, 94 RBI.
Still pounding it out.
So from about 2013. To 2019, a 6-year run, 7 years there, 7 seasons. That's one of the very best players in baseball.
I guess, yeah.
Like a top 10 player in the entire game. And he led the league in that stretch 3 times in hit by pitches. He had 30.
He was epic.
30, 24, and 27. The 222, he's up there. He's close to Ron Hunt, but I don't think he caught him.
Well, Ron Hunt's not the record holder. You'll recall Ron Hunt was passed by Don Baylor, who was passed by Craig Biggio, which is a point worth noting because Craig Biggio, of course, was one of only 2 base runners in the Kerrywood 20 strikeout game, and he reached base by getting hit.
The actual leader, although I don't think they count him because he played in the 1800s.
Oh, is it like Pitts McGallahan from like the Baltimore?
It's Huey Jennings.
Roadrunners. Oh, Huey Jennings, the 1908 Tigers manager.
287. I think the reason that in just 5,000. So the Beige is the all-time leader with 285 in 12,504 at bats. Huey had 2 more in 5,648. Far less than half of the at bats. I think part of it was I'm pretty sure back then if the ball bounced and it hit you, you got to go to first. So I think the reason.
Well, don't you now?
If it bounces, I guess it does.
I believe
there's something else though. There was another loophole, and I think the reason they don't consider Huey the leader is it was easier then. Maybe you could swing. Maybe if you swung and it hit you could go.
And that would be a tactical advantage for the cagey.
Well, because those little fuckers were doing the little those little butcher boy things. They were like throwing themselves over the plate anyway. Well, that might be it.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's another old timer on here, Tommy Tucker. Got hit 272 times in just 7,000 at bats.
Well, and Huey Jennings was actually on the 1890s Baltimore Orioles of the American League, which also had John McGraw and Wee Willie Keeler, and I think another epic player. And I believe that's the Baltimore Chop. Like I think it's just a bunch of gamey. But Huey Jennings, I wonder sometimes because I read he was the manager of those Detroit Tigers teams of Ty Cobb that Frank Chance would defeat in 06 and 07 and Pittsburgh beat, or 07, 08, Pittsburgh beat in 09. But like you look at the pictures of him because he's kind of a character. Like he would coach third base while coaching the Tigers, and he was like this weird, crazy character. And I just wonder if the writers of Cheers or one of them was such a baseball geek that they were familiar. Yes, he is absolutely Ernie Pantuzzo.
He looks. I'm going to pull his picture up here.
He
looks a
Huey
little
Jennings,
bit.
I feel, is the inspiration for Ernie Pantuzzo,
especially on this one. Here, can we see it? Come on. It's not showing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, can you see it? He looks a little.
No, well, you're sure. Yeah.
He looks a little like Pete Crow Armstrong.
Zoom in, but
there it goes. He looks a little like Pete. Hilarious. If Pete wore a bow tie when he's playing, maybe he will this year. Maybe that'll be Pete's thing. It's no stars in the hair this year. He's just gonna wear a bow tie on the field.
But yeah, the modern day HBP guy is Craig Biggio. But Rizzo, he's probably the last 30 years.
The modern day leaders are Biggio, Baylor, Kendall, Hunt, Rizzo.
Oh, Jason Kendall rose to the ranks, and Rizzo's 5th.
So
what?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. And then Utley, Frank Robinson, Minnie Minoso.
Okay.
Are there any other Cubs? Kid Elberfield?
What's
probably not. Shin-Soo Choo, who should have been. I'm still mad that Dave Brown didn't vote for Shin-Soo Choo for the Hall of Fame. The active leader is Starling Marte, 166. Nellie Fox is on the list. So is Carlton Fisk.
Of course.
Justin Turner.
So Anthony Rizzo,
36. Reed Johnson. That's incredible. Reed Johnson, 134 in just 3,992 at bats. That's a dude just willing. He's not getting out of the way. That's first base. I'm not moving.
It's a very Reed Johnson stat. Harold Baines' baseball reference WAR is 40.4, which of course puts him above the Harold Baines metric. Off the top of my head, I would not say Anthony Rizzo is a Hall of Famer, but now that, my long-standing point that if you lowered the bar with Harold Baines, who was the 38.8 WAR, but do you think that will ever happen? No. It was bringing a World Series for the Cubs. Does that cash it have any sway if it comes down to it?
I mean, he's 303 homers.
Are there any 2,000? No,
he didn't get 1,000 RBIs.
Statistically.
No
way.
Are
there any 2,000?
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it on the last Cub pod.
Yeah, I think I heard you guys. Like Lester is the one that probably will.
And then
you can't.
Kraz is right.
Lester.
Aroldis is a Hall of Famer. Aroldis Chapman will be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's true. I don't think of him.
But yeah, we won't really
way,
count that.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it'll technically count, but we won't count it.
No, we will. I mean,
the guy who was supposed to, his body fell apart, and it's supposed to be Chris Bryant, and he's not. He's he's basically done. It's a tragedy, but.
It could have been Rizzo, maybe. I mean, Rizzo he had a bad bat. I mean, his numbers didn't really tail off, so maybe you got what you got out of Anthony.
Well, I mean, they kind of did though, right? Like,
they did. They really did.
He only hit.
You ran off his.
He only hit 22 homers in 21. He did have a nice year. His first year with the Yankees, he had a shitload of homers in Yankee Stadium, so he had 32. But then he only hit 12. Actually, he was playing really well in 03 and he got a concussion. That's kind of what derailed him because he was having a really nice year. And then all of a sudden he was gone.
2003.
In 23.
Wait, in 2023. Yeah.
And then he was just kind of around in 24 and it was over.
Well, sadly, one of the last images you'll have of him was when they lost the World Series to the Dodgers. The Dodgers rallied to win the clinching game, I believe. Like the Yankees were on the precipice of getting knocked out. But who was it that hit a chopper to the right of Rizzo? And Gerrit Cole just kind of assumed. So it's on Gerrit. Let's make no mistake about it. The pitcher should always get over to first. But it was also the kind of hopper that a slightly younger and more agile first baseman would be able to take by themselves. And Rizzo was like, by the time he got the ball, he was expecting to like toss it to Cole and realized he wasn't. And then there was no way he was going to get to the bag. And then a rally started. So I always felt bad about that for Anthony.
He's not a guy whose career's cut short. He played 14 years. So you can't really even use that as an excuse. His 10-year peak, granted, one of the years is the COVID year. So it's only 60 games. His 10-year peak was all with the Cubs. And that would have been, he averaged, how many home runs did he hit? He averaged 24 homers, 78 RBIs, but that's the COVID thing fucks it up. 272, 372, 489. He's a very, very good player. He was just not going to be a Hall of Famer.
But only 1,600 hits, 1,644. Yeah. Interesting.
But honestly, it's more prestigious to be in the Utility Tunnel of Fame than it is to be in the Hall of Fame. And he'll be in there.
True.
So that's fine. And he was traded for
one of the greats.
He was traded for future Hall of Famer Kevin Alcantara, and we're just waiting for Kevin to assume his throne when he takes over left field from Ian Happ after Ian's next contract extension. Then it'll finally be Kevin's time. When Rizzo left in 21, though, the Cubs had no problem replacing him. They immediately upgraded to the great Frank Schwindel, who was...
And I have to apologize for besmirching Fred McGriff as the worst defensive first baseman I've ever seen.
Terrible.
Because I had forgotten. I had forgotten about Frank and the frying pan that he would take out to first base in lieu of his baseball glove.
You couldn't tell why he'd never gotten a long run in the big leagues, did you? In 56 games for the Cubs, He hit 342 with a 389 on base and a 613 slug. He hit 13 homers, drove in 40 runs. And there were people that were legitimately convinced that, oh, this guy, he can really be the first baseman. He was already 29 years old. He came back to be the primary first baseman in 2022, and he wasn't. Alfonso Rivas ended up with more at bats than Frank because Frank hit 229, 277, 358. It's like, oh, that's right. He really does suck.
What's funny about this discussion, Andy, is that with most other positions, there's a lot of dark periods early on. And yet, like when it comes to like the era of our own from like 1980 on, like for the first time today, we're just like wallowing in some darkness at this position.
So this is the first year they've had a bad first baseman since
2022. Well, since McGriff defensively and phony bloated numbers offensively.
So 21, the numbers look okay because Stairs was okay, and then McGriff went crazy after they fell out of it. But yeah, 20 and 20, 01 and 02, they really didn't have a good first baseman. But really before that, you have to go all the way back to 76.
Pete Lecoq.
So that's a pretty good run. You go from 1977 to 2021 before you and Rizzo played that year.
Stable as all get out. With above average stability.
The primary first baseman in 23, mostly because of who was supposed to play first base in 20? Why am I already blanking out on that?
Wait a sec. I gotta calibrate my memory now.
Cody ends up playing the most games
only
at
3
first.
years ago.
And he was good.
Oh.
But who was it supposed to be? 23.
No, Cody's in 24, right?
No, Bush shows up in 24.
Oh,
it was supposed to be, now I know. It was supposed to be Trey Mancini. And he was a disaster.
Was 23 the year they played in London?
Yes.
And Mancini couldn't handle a simple put out, the season turnaround.
So Trey Mancini, who failed
minus 1.11.
There was once again, they gave him a 2-year contract to spread the AAV out. And that was, the Bleacher Nation guys, it was genius. Oh, it's such genius. Yeah. The thing about Trey had been, okay, so Trey is obviously a great story, right? Like he came out of Notre Dame. He was a good prospect for the Orioles. He got cancer. He damn near died. He had to have like most of his colon removed. He came back. He played again, and he played very well for the Orioles. And in 2022, he was playing well for the Orioles, and he got traded to the Astros.
As they were finally
for the World Series run, and he was horrible. He couldn't get a hit. He couldn't do anything. He was terrible in the playoffs, just like almost unplayable, but they didn't have anybody else. So Dusty kept having to run him out there and play him.
Not even Dusty's fault.
In the playoffs in 2022, he went in the ALDS, he went 0 for 6. In the ALCS, Dusty didn't play him. He didn't play him that much. He went 0 for 6. And in the World Series, he went 1 for 9. So he hit 048, 125, 048. The Cubs looked at that and said, that's our man right there. We got to get us some Trey Mancini for 2 years. And he was terrible for the Cubs. And he physically couldn't play first base. He couldn't move anymore for some reason. He couldn't bend over. He couldn't do anything. 234, 299, 336. So they end up taking their Gold Glove caliber outfielder, Cody Bellinger, playing him at first base, where he's really good. Like Cody's a really good first baseman.
Yeah, no, Cody played a very good.
And he had a really good year that year. 26 homers, 97 RBIs, 307, 356, 525. But he was not really their first baseman. So then they went out and they made a trade in the offseason, and they got Michael Bush, who in his first 2 years with the Cubs, he's one of those. He's a Frank Schwindel-esque in age, but nothing else. Like he was a 26-year-old rookie because he was trapped where Frank was in bad organizations, the A's and the Royals, and he couldn't break into the big leagues.
Rise up.
Bush is sitting there looking at first, or he's looking at Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy. His two positions. He's like, motherfucker, I'm never going to get to play. And the Cubs freed him from that, and he has been a very nice pickup for the Cubs.
100%. Yeah. And we had misgivings about what we thought his defense would be. He's been fine.
He's really good, actually.
If this discussion has brought nothing else, it's that, again, we've already stressed the fact that in our lifetimes, we've been privileged to have good first basemen, and they've all been good defensively. So we have high standards, like for what we expect. It's why I couldn't stand McGriff and like why we so quickly mocked Schwindel. But yeah, we thought Bush would be rough there. yeah, I don't know how much, if he's above average, but he's what I mean, maybe you're right. He might be really good there. He's better than I expected on both fronts. So it's been a great pickup.
My only issue with him is he needs to hit homers in more than like 9 games a year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's an odd.
Like he just go crazy and he'll hit a bunch of home runs in 1 week,
yes.
and then a month he won't get another one. It's like Mike,
he's done
can
it in so
spread
many
them
different
out
clusters.
A little bit? That would be nice because he hit 34
right.
of them
last year. He's done it in so many different.
So he had a good year.
He's done it. He's done it in like so many different unique clusters that you wonder, like, is this itself a trend? Can you just somehow manage to like do this where, yeah, you'll have a 6-week high. I mean, like, you'd think that would just even out, and those numbers would appear, but maybe in a more, linear fashion rather than stops and starts. But either way, it's that production up there has been to the standard that we grew up with, I would say.
So the one equivalent to the Cubs, to the Bears all-time receiving yardage mark is postseason homers for the Cubs, right? Like where Kyle Schwarber in his first postseason hit set the record, was the all-time leader in home runs with 5. Michael Busch hit 4 home runs in the playoffs this last year for the Cubs. He is now 6th all time for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Granted, he's tied now. The grouping is much bigger. It's, Bryant, Rizzo, and Schwarber are all tied for first with 6.
Right, modern day.
Javi Baez has
6 postseason.
Baez and Dexter have 5, and then it's Busch, Russell, Alex Gonzalez, and Aramis Ramirez with 4.
Wow, they're all in the last 30 years, 32 years.
Eric Karros is 17th. Eric Karros and Sammy Sosa are tied with 2.
So I had forgotten until I read your book that incredibly iconic home run that Sammy hit off of Uga Urbina was his first postseason home run to Cubs. So he only hit 2 ever. Outside of 98, Sammy was kind of at the end of the line in the 03 playoffs. I mean, he had the epic homer, but it's interesting. He's not even close. I mean, part of that is finally having a team that has sustained success, but then also in a latter day when there are more playoff rounds, so you have a higher probability.
Well, it's like
of more games.
Guys like Bob Costas
who cares?
Bob Costas get all up in their ass. I remember when like Manny Ramirez took the all-time postseason home run record, and Bob's like, "Well, Mickey Mantle would have had it, but they only got to play 1 round of playoffs," and blah blah blah. It's like, Bob, calm down. Oh,
yes.
Oh, by the way, the other person in the NBC pre- and post-game booth or on the set, Bob Costas. Which actually should be fine. That's like the thing he's still good at. Like, he can't call games anymore because he gets confused.
Well,
but he should be a fine host.
If you're gonna get right, no, I'm sure. But if you're gonna get butthurt about that, then take solace in the fact that your little hero. I'm not diminishing Mickey Mantle, but like Ruth and Mantle and all these World Series, Whitey Ford, because his consecutive shutout record was eclipsed by Rivera because they converted it to postseason. Well, if you want to just keep it World Series record, then those records will never be broken because it's so much harder to get back to the World Series with all those rounds. So if you want to, Mickey Mantle probably still has the most World Series home runs. So go ahead and just tot that because that'll probably not get broken because it's so hard to get there anyway.
But Costas has always had this kind of thing. Like he didn't he bet, what was the bet? That I think it was that somebody bet him that Kirby Puckett would hit 300, and he was so convinced that Kirby would never be able to hit 300 in a season that he said his wife was pregnant. He said, if Kirby hits 300, I will name my kid after him. And so Keith Costas, who works for MLB Network's name is Keith Michael Kirby Costas because Kirby hit 300 that year.
Well, he pushed out.
Yeah, he did the double middle name. He should have just been Keith Kirby Costas.
I do remember that. Wow. I forgot that Bob had the cojones to make an ass out of himself in the mid-80s, to put himself on the line like that, and actually ridicule a ball player. Yeah, because Kirby looked like a bowling ball. He turned out to be a great player. But
Jake Arrieta has a Coastal Carolina tattoo because he bet Tommy LaStella that Coastal Carolina played TCU in the College World Series, I think, and Coastal won. So the loser had to get the tattoo of the logo of the other. So he's got a
Tommy went to Coastal
Carolina tattoo.
Weird, because Tommy didn't strike me as a guy that would have gone to college, but
I would guess if somebody tried to give it, like, make him take a pop quiz or something, he'd get mad and just go home and drive to his mom and dad's house and hide in the basement. Honestly, though, we've been to Iowa. Can you blame him for refusing to go to Iowa and going home? I mean, I can't. I do remember that when he finally came back, he was really worried that Rizzo was going to beat the shit out of him. And because Rizzo was pissed. And Rizzo, apparently what the Cubs did was they made Tommy sit in the clubhouse.
He had a meeting.
And they basically let everybody scream at him. And Rizzo just went off. It was terrible. He basically abandoned the team in the middle of a playoff race.
It was
and Rizzo just fucking let him have it. So.
Well, I guess to Tommy's credit, he faced the music, and I can't recall how much he would have contributed after that, but he was on the roster in the series. So
he wasn't on the roster in the series.
He was not in 2016.
Do you know who was on the roster in the series instead of him?
Chris Coughlin. Is that?
No, I mean there was one person who took Tommy's spot for a pretty good reason.
What am I missing?
Kyle Schwarber took Tommy's roster spot.
Right, but
That's who. If Schwarber hadn't been ready, Tommy was going to be the extra left-handed bat.
So
instead, it was Schwarber.
So he was on the postseason roster, but he got left off for Schwarber in the World Series.
If you watch the World Series video, he's in it a bunch because he's standing on the rail, and like when Ross hits the homer off Andrew Miller, he says to him, "Tommy, I just hit a home run in Game 7 of the World Series." And then when what happens? And somebody goes nuts right behind him in the dugout, and you see Tommy. And Tommy, I'm like, well, at least he's all over the video, but he has no jersey on. He's wearing a blue pullover. But I think he played in the first. And Tommy's was on the roster the first two rounds. So it's not like he didn't play in the playoffs. He just didn't play in the World Series.
He just in response to I hit a homer off of Andrew Miller. I just stabbed a Cleveland fan in the concourse because he looked like he might be a guy that might shiv you. I don't know. Maybe that's unfair.
Do you know who the Cubs traded to get Tommy LaStella? He got traded to the Braves for this guy, or from the Braves for this guy. He was a guy who, at one point, the Cubs were pondering making this guy their closer. He had a great arm, but it never panned out for him. You're not going to guess it.
Not Pat Mahomes. Who is it?
Aroydis Vizcaíno. Do you remember Aroydis Vizcaíno?
Oh, yeah. I do remember Aroydis Vizcaíno. Why do I remember him so well?
Because if his arm hadn't fallen off, he actually was going to be kind of good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Postseason stats for Tommy LaStella. He played in the DS that year against the Giants. He got one at bat. He played in all 3 rounds in 15 against the Pirates, the Cardinals, and the Mets.
He was on the 15.
And then
Cubs.
He played in both rounds in 17, and he played in the wild card game in 18. And then he went.
Oh wow!
Then he went to Oakland, and he played in 2 playoffs for them, 20 and 21. He played against. Oh. He actually played. The most he ever played in the playoffs were 2020 for the A's. He got 13.
I'm looking at it.
He got 11 at bats against the White Sox, and he got 16 at bats against the Astros. And he actually hit really well against. And he hit well in both series, but especially against the Astros. In a losing
951 OPS in 18 plate appearances, which was the most he'd have in any series, and he had a 951 OPS.
He was a nice hitter. He couldn't really play a defensive position at all.
In all those plate appearances with the Cubs, which only, fairly, in fairness, only totaled like 30, he never got a hit. He was He was 0 for 13.
All right, so now we got to do this. This is actually going to be hard for once.
Right.
I was just thinking, like, how first baseman in Cub history. I mean, we've had some where it's been tough to get to, like, you got to pick between 2 guys for the 5th spot. This one, though.
Well, what's also weird is that it's a position that has been completely stable for relatively for our entire lives, but not a single one of them has been a Hall of Famer, and nor should they be. And yet it's been the most, like, secure position for us growing up.
Cap. You're not counting Cap and Frank?
No, I'm talking about just our era first, because we'll do the historical rankings, because I can't figure that out either. But like we're saying that what I'm saying is that in our lifetime, this was a position of absolute security, and yet at the same time, none of the guys that made it so consistent, any of them are Hall of Famers. But they might be in the discussion. I'm throwing Cap out of the discussion, by the way, just because he was a shitbag racist. Like,
Plus,
I might put it. I might leave him in the top 5, but he can't be the first
1800s
one.
baseball is barely it's not even really baseball anymore.
It's enough to throw out. Plus, he's from Iowa. I'm just kidding. I have no hatred towards Iowa, but Frank Chance is in the discussion. Charlie Grimm's in the discussion. Cavaretta, no, he didn't play enough first base. So Ernie Banks, that's like a cheat code. We already gave Ernie the shortstop, so he's not in the discussion.
Yep.
So I don't know. I've got Cap and Charlie, and then the guys from our era. That's how I'm gonna quickly try to whittle it down. And like any of the guys from our era, not Hall of Fame. I already said Cap can't be number 1. Man, like objectively, because Leon was my favorite player, but he's certainly not the best. Grayson Lee, Rizzo. It's tough to pick like which one would you rate amongst those 5. And then Charlie Grimm was not a Hall of Famer either, but he played on pennant winners like Rizzo. So, but Frank Chance is really more renowned as a manager, but he was a really good first baseman. I don't think he rates with even, most of them. So I don't know. What do you think?
All right, I got my 5.
What do you got?
I'll go 5-1. Number 5, I am gonna put Frank Chance on the list. I'm gonna make him number 5. Number 4, I'm going with Bill Buckner because it's my list. Fuck it. Won a batting title. Number 3, another guy won a batting title, Derrek Lee. Number 2, I'm going with Mark Grace. And number 1, I'll go with Anthony Rizzo.
Sure. For the same reason I put Dexter as my personal favorite center fielder. The World Series goes a long way.
I think that 6-year span where he basically hit 30 and 100 every year that's the longest run any Cub first baseman went on. Plus, he was a great defensive first baseman. He won a World Series.
Yep.
That's the him and Frank won the World Series, and they both get to be on the list. And then.
And that hot streak is attendant to their ascension, which has some value, even though maybe other players like Buckner didn't have that opportunity to drive their team to a pennant.
And
Anthony took advantage.
I put Grace ahead of Lee because he played longer. And he had a great career. And Derrek Lee had a great career. Being third on this list is no shame. And then Bill and then Frank, because I don't know that 1908 baseball is. He had 20 home runs in his entire life. I know the ball was made out of a fucking hacky sack, but still, you think he'd hit more than 20 home runs in 12 years or whatever it was.
Mine's going to be the same. I'm just going to replace Frank with Cap, just because I'm not going to banish Cap entirely because he could play ball, but I'm docking him a few because of his shitbaggery. But obviously, he was a great player. Formidable in forging the identity of the Chicago National League Ball Club. But I'm not gonna die in that hill. No disrespect to Frank Chance, but the other guy, the modern guys, man. We've been lucky in that position that to grow up. I'm not even putting Durham in the top 5, just admitting that he was my favorite player as a kid. But Buckner and Grace, and Lee and Rizzo, that's a quality 4 to be able to watch so many chunks of those 4 guys' career. So actually grateful.
Cap Anson. Looking at the Hall of Fame tracker thing on the baseball reference page. So for batting, they have this thing called gray ink. The average Hall of Famers is 144. Caps is 361, 6th all time.
Duke hit. Yeah. I feel like he was probably the gold standard before Cobb. I mean, there are probably a lot of, and I only base that on the fact that he's one of the only players I know of in the 19th century that collected 3,000 hits, which again, as a counting stat, doesn't tell much of the story, but I feel like he must have been considered one of the greatest pure hitters until Cobb came along. And there were, like I said, Joe Delahanty. There are other great hitters, but the guy had a 25-year career racking up those hits.
Well, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna go
So-
find some video of Cap and watch that, and then I'll see. Because I mean, he
I
played until 1897, so it's got to be some. It's probably not in HD, but it's probably what 720p. Probably.
Just make sure you don't have any videos with a burning
Yeah.
cross.
I don't feel bad about leaving him off just because. But yeah, he was.
No, you
He
should.
clearly, I mean, he played 27 years in the big leagues. Jesus.
Yeah.
His last year, he struggled. He
Yeah.
only had 285 when he was 45 years old for the Cubs. Good Lord.
Yeah, I think Chance and Anson's a fair trade-off in that really the modern day guys. Sorry, Charlie Grimm. You just happened to play a position that was very competitive. And Cavaretta, like you said, probably couldn't have been much of a first baseman if they just kept moving around. So I'm satisfied with the collective rankings.
Well, but if you put him and Rizzo 1-2, you get Italians who wore 44 for the Cubs.
Correct. That's right. Forklift will point that out.
And then
True.
And Kyle Farnsworth. They can retire for all three of them.
Well, we will be doing pitchers, starters, relievers, catchers. I guess got some more content to pick over.
44.
Who else
I hate
wore
when they do
44
that.
besides
I
those
always
two
click on the
Dagos?
wrong thing, and I end up with this list of every major leaguer ever who wore 44, which I don't really want. Here it is.
Really?
Let's see. Any other Hall of Famers in this list of the 44s? Jeff Stevens. Chad Fox.
Of the Cubs.
Oh, here's one. Roberto Novoa.
good.
Roberto Novoa.
Brown spot Bob.
Kyle Farnsworth. Chris Haney. Tony Fossis. Amari Telemaco.
Oh.
William Brennan. 1993. No idea.
I thought that was the guy that redesigned the Chicago street code in 1903. But no.
Jeff Hartsock. Oh, here's a good one. Remember this guy? Remember this?
Who?
Steve Wilson. That was hit behind his glove when he was pitching.
Did he? I thought he was 40. I thought he was 46.
He was 44.
That's weird.
Drew Hall. Dick Ruthven. Oh, here's one. Ken Reitz.
The guy was
Ken Reitz. There's your Hall of Famer.
He wore 44.
If-
He's a third baseman.
1981. So he
Was that
clearly
even
wore
legal?
more than one number. Dave Giusti. Mike Garman.
Yep.
Bert Hooton. Threw a no-hitter. And Phil.
Mike Garman.
Phil was the
in
first
Bill
guy to
Buckner
wear it. And that
trade.
makes sense because they didn't numbers. That's a pretty high
No.
number for back then.
Right. Well, you made the discovery like the 20s and 30s where some guys like Stan Hackman had like 11 different numbers throughout his career because he was like, take this one now.
100%.
Or, like,
I
there was
100%
no
know that it was
adherence.
because the sizes changed year to year, and they grabbed one that fit. They changed numbers all the time. They didn't give a shit. Either
like-
that or
like House
the other thing
League.
we didn't take into account is, like famously when the Yankees were the first team to wear numbers, and they wore them in the order that they batted. And I almost
Yes.
wonder if even the few years after that, teams were like shuffling them around because guys were changing. The Yankees obviously never did. They didn't change. You wore out your number, you kept it.
No, because
And then they retired them all.
worked.
Like, not only have they
Yes,
retired
well,
all those numbers,
yes.
but they have a bunch of numbers that only one guy ever wore. Like certainly
Ruth
3 and
Aguirre
4.
and DiMaggio.
Like nobody'd ever wore the
Yes.
3 and 4 were only. Maybe it's just those
Right.
two.
No, just those two, because I'm sure DiMaggio was not the first one
No,
to wear
'cause
5. Mantle was not the first to wear
But that's
7.
pretty good. I mean,
Because it was
one
the
and
lineup.
only.
But they have 2. 3 and 4 for sure. Unless, yeah.
I wondered
I don't know what year they started
I
wearing
wonder if the
numbers and what
Bears-
year Gehrig replaced Wally.
because George Halas was a Yankee for a week. That's why the Bears did shit they did. I wonder if there's any Bears who only did anybody wear 77 other than Red Grange? Probably.
Did anybody wear?
'Cause I don't think they retired it
42
right away,
before
right?
Luckman?
I feel like
That's a good
I feel like
point.
they didn't.
That's a great. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole when we're done here. Like, what is a jersey number that only one player ever wore? I'm wondering if it's Luckman's 42, which seems like a weird number for a quarterback anyway. And it probably wasn't because the Bears were around for 2 decades when Luckman came along. So we don't nobody's probably worn it since, because I'm sure that one was retired pretty quickly after Luckman retired.
All right,
Is there a Casey Ignarski of the Bears that keeps track of Bears uniform numbers?
All-time Bears to wear number 77. Red Grange.
Wow. How about 66? That's Clyde Turner.
Well, Vag wouldn't let anybody wear 66 other than Clyde. Only Bulldog. Nobody else ever wore it. 42. Let's see about Sid. I bet you somebody wore it before Sid. No.
Yeah.
Only Sid.
I wonder how accurate that is. I know we've jumped the shark here, but I'm dying to know.
So you pick another number and you do get a bunch, like 7. Ed Sprinkle.
How about Bill Hewitt, 56? Oh, Ed Sprinkle wore 7, but
Ed Sprinkle, Pug Rentner, Eggs Mansky.
Yeah.
Johnny Hewitt, George
Those
Hallis,
are the guys that wore,
Bob Avellini.
Those are all,
He's retired for Avellini, of course.
Yeah.
What number did you want me to look
up?
up?
56. 56, because that's Bill Hewitt.
Only Bill.
Okay. I used to have them all memorized since I was a kid. All the retired numbers from those old 22. No, that was number 5, George McAfee. That's retired, but I doubt George McAfee was the only guy to wear 5. For the same reason that the Yankees, like the single-digit numbers, I feel like.
In fact, a bunch of guys wore it after George.
Yeah.
George Bolin. He had to be George. George Bolin, George Corbett, Chuck Dressen, Carl Hankey, Ken Huffine, Bob McLeod, Frank Maznicki, George McAfee, and then Anton Stolfa, Billy Stone, and Lori Walquist.
And then Hallis. That's
actually, they're not necessarily in order by year. So he might have been.
Did anyone wear number?
He was the last one to wear it. George was the last one to wear it. No, Billy Stone wore it. Billy Stone wore it the year after George, and then it went away.
Here's a Babe Ruth one, number 3. Did anyone wear number 3 before Bronco Nagurski?
I would think not, huh?
Because he came along early, not as early. I mean, Bronco came along at by 28, but I bet you I bet you there was, right? Yeah.
So after Bronco,
still was
Dante Magnani wore it. Jim Fordham, Wally Dreyer, and Eddie Allen, and then Egypt Allen wore it.
Okay.
Because Eddie's son Egypt got to wear it. I think Egypt. So I always got Egypt and Lorenzo Lynch's numbers confused. Remember, they were both scabs who made it. But I was just watching the '88 title game, and Egypt is in it, and I think he's 43. Well, I could look. I'm sitting here with the all-time number roster.
Is that what it is? Right. For some reason I confused Egypt Allen with 70s D-back Allen Ellis, and he was 48. So
let's see if I'm right. I don't see him.
Egypt Allen. That's a good call.
Emory Moorhead wore 43 in 1981.
I actually knew that, believe it or not.
What number was
he
Egypt?
Also returned
Egypt
kicks.
must have been 49 then. 47. Oh, you gave him the Doug Plank number. Oh, what the? No, that was 46. 47 was nobody. Fencing was 45. Plank was 46. 47 could be Egypt. Maybe next year Dennis Allen will run the 47 defense.
The 47.
And they can be the Egypt Allen. Because that makes more sense 46. Because you got 11 players. You don't have 10, buddy.
Good call.
All right. Well, that was fun. How long? Not even that long.
Enjoyed
Only 2 hours and 50 minutes. That's tidy.
Hey,
that's a tidy 250.
I was going to jinx us by saying, well, since we've had so many chunks of periods where there's only one first baseman, this would surely be shorter than some of the other episodes, but I should know better by now.
All right.
But I enjoyed it.
Many of us have herpes.
Post-game show is brought to you by Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
It's fitting. It's got to be done with one of the best games of all time. Just unbelievable. I mean, got to congratulate the Dolan family.
Thank you. Sean, my podcast co-host Andy, you were his favorite player growing up.
Oh, thank you so much,
Awesome.
Andy.